Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 181.
Are you sure this isn't a Tide ad?
I'm not sure. Is it a podcast? You know,
I mean, if David Harbour were to show up, I would boot you right out, and me and Sheriff Hopper would have some words.
I will admit, I have not had a chance to go back and review all of the Super Bowl commercials. I did not really take it all in live. I kind of watched some things here and there. I finally had to Google. I didn't see the Tide ad live, so I had to Google it because it seems as if...
It's not just one. There was like four of them.
Well, I only saw one then, so I'm way behind the times. I was totally lost and immersed in that Justin Timberlake show. And therefore,
I have a mute button for Terry today. This is great.
Real quick, what I'll say on that is I have touted. I think he was my pick when we did picks way back when we almost had a format to the show. He was my pick. I think at one point, it's just being this incredibly gifted and talented individual and someone I just genuinely enjoy.
So you're saying 2 or 2.5 years ago when we started the show,
yeah.
He was already a global superstar. He was one of your picks.
Yeah, no. I think it was a statement of admiration for how just gifted and talented I truly think he is.
He is, for sure. No, there's no doubt.
And you want to talk about a division of opinion as to whether good, bad, great, horrible. You literally, every single one was thrown out there.
All over the board.
It wasn't a consensus of good or bad. It's definitely, I feel like, a hung jury out there. I don't know. Split jury?
Hung jury is right. Hung jury is right.
Is that the same?
Yeah. I mean, hung jury is kind of divided. I give it a big fat meh.
Yeah.
Like, not bad, not great, just like some fun dancing, but I didn't feel like there was a lot of energy in it. I felt that it could have used a guest singer, someone to surprise you. That always adds a little bit like, oh, I can't believe he got Alicia Keys to show up and play piano on this, or Janet. Janet would have been great, obviously. But
yeah, I think there was probably a lot of speculation.
I mean, I don't know how big of a surprise it would have been because there was so much speculation, how big of a shock, but it would have been cool. I didn't, to me, it was kind of like, great. It was a Justin Timberlake medley. Like, not much special. Like,
I don't think he started it off on the right foot.
He didn't fly in on a drone or anything crazy. I just didn't think it was that spectacular.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
I think what immediately, and we'll move on from this, but what immediately I think started off on the wrong foot was with the song that wasn't one of his blockbuster, world-renowned, classic hits. Because immediately I was like, what is this?
It's off his new album.
Exactly.
Filthy.
And I understand the logic and the marketing to that, but I think that just literally right off the top.
But you can't, the only good option then is to throw it somewhere in the middle, which then you're not highlighting it because you're not ending with that. You end with that, and that's a horrible show. So starting with it, I think, is the right decision because it might not get everyone like pumped up, but it's your newest thing. It's what you're promoting. You get it out of the way. When you go to a concert, nobody wants to hear the B-side. Everybody wants to hear the rock star song. So you just you throw it in there.
I think that
I get it.
I understand. I get it too. I get the marketing to it. I just think that's also immediately kind of dug itself a little hole, and whether or not it came out of it. Either way, looks like the board's already lighting up. Lots of people talking about good, bad, indifferent.
It was a great game though, so it was congratulations to Philly. I'm sorry your fans mostly suck. And that they
wow, you're gonna go right there.
I am. I'm gonna say that. I said not most of your fans suck. Your fans that suck bad because there's no reason you should be destroying your city. Well, you want to go out and celebrate, and some things happen. Sure, some people get out. I saw some of the craziest things.
What you mean, like jumping on hotel awnings?
Like I watched a guy
scaling city halls,
eat horse poop.
Yeah,
like he was cheered on. I saw them tip over a car, which is sadly common. Yeah. But I feel bad because Philly they earned a great Super Bowl, a great team. A lot of the fans are awesome. It's unfortunate that I think they have this bad reputation and that people feel like they have to live up to it. And it's a recipe for disaster.
You're certainly damned if you do and damned if you don't too, because they win. you riot and get crazy. They lose, you riot and get crazy. Like there's no middle ground there.
No, I agree, and it's.
I agree. I understand. I've said
I'm old. I
know,
and I understand it's old and crotchety, but it's just such a shame to.
It just really makes no sense.
Like, oh look, there was 2 reports of a guy punching a police horse. Like I don't get it. So
it was a good game. Congrats, as Johnny said. I will still say the time versus Tom or Tom versus time thing on Facebook to me has intrigued me. I think I was telling you this because of now I look at things again very differently. It's a documentary that kind of depicts all these things about Tom Brady. Love him or hate him. Again, I'm watching for the editing. I'm watching for the storytelling. I'm watching for, do we have the chance to have some of our disc golfers featured in pieces such as that? And I think right now the answer is no, because we don't have we can get new footage and we can get interviews, but we don't have, Paul Macbeth playing amateur. I mean, there might be one video somewhere, but we don't have a lot of that backstory. And in 10 or 15 years, it's going to be awesome to look back at all of the footage from any one of our footage.
Like your Simons, your Eagles, like your guys that have come up in the last 3 or 4 years, we're going to have a lot of footage of them, unlike what we have of some of our classics. I mean, we've got a few old Worlds videos for some of our
footage is incredibly limited,
but it's very limited, and you run into that. So I'm excited. You're right. I'm excited for 10, 15, 20 years down the line.
Now that we are building a little bit of that database of disc golf footage among all of them. And that'll even be interesting as well, is because then where will it come from? Who's going to have certain rights to things? And that's, again, all for maybe another conversation. But it'll be interesting as it unfolds. So,
and I'm going to put a time and date stamp on this.
The idea that you disliked of mine, but go for it.
I did. No, I didn't dislike it. I dislike your birthday
Somebody rolled the tapes. That's us, I think. Go find the tapes where you disagreed with the idea. You just didn't like it.
I'm not a big fan of it in general, but seeing as how you're doing it, I will go on things like, I hate the birthday thing that you thought you were going to do. Today, and this could be monumental in the future, SpaceX launched the Falcon Heavy. 3 rockets strapped together with some bungee cords, launched into outer space, a Tesla Roadster with Spaceman, as they call it, one of the new SpaceX suits. We got a Tesla going, as someone said, 40,000 kilometers an hour, just orbiting our Earth right now. And 2 of the rockets landed perfectly as they should. The center core did not. It had a rough, I guess, landing. Even though we're going to go conspiracy theory, there's just not a lot of footage of it, so no one knows for sure that it crashed.
How do you orbit something flat anyway?
I know, it's really weird with having the flat Earth, because there's no gravity. I'm not
understand
sure.
That.
So, but.
Well, either way, great time and date stamp for sure. Again, a day or two passed after the Philadelphia Eagles win their Super Bowl, so some good stuff out there. Tonight's show, believe it or not, we're going to talk some disc golf.
We are.
We're going to have Matt and Josh from Kids First Disc Golf. They're going to be joining us actually in just a few minutes. We're going to catch up with them. Of course, there's been a lot of chatter about the good stuff they're doing, but then also how it was taken a step further, that you're going to see this huge event taking place out in Smuggler's Notch Resort later in the year. We'll get some more details from them regarding that. And then a long overdue, long awaited and anticipated catch up with one Lisa Fajkus. Lisa, who busted out, had this amazing year last year. We've seen her now on the Disc Golf Pro Tour for the last couple of years. I've had the pleasure of watching her play more often than not on the lead card in a very competitive women's field. She had a great World Championships. I know we talked about that and highlighted that earlier in the year or last year when the Worlds were wrapping up. So it's definitely long overdue that we're going to have Lisa joining the show. And, of course, we know many of you have requested her to be here as well. Cool one. No, you have not missed Lisa.
You're supposed to tell them you did. Yeah, you go rewind the show.
And then also, as many of you know, in the works, moving forward, very soon we'll likely be having James Conrad again, similar position. James won a few times last year, and we couldn't catch up with him due to technology. And as I like to say, he's out living life and not worried about our silly little podcast. So we're looking forward to having James Conrad soon. So Matt and Josh, then Lisa, and then at some point we'll also be catching him with Paul Ulibarri. Paul out in the Arizona area. Obviously, the season's just about to hit. He's been out playing for the last few weekends. He'll give us an update what took place last weekend. And then there was some chatter that continues to be prevalent. Anytime there's a Paul Ulibarri sighting in terms of a recorded disc golf round, it's just automatic. Everybody's going to call foot faults and yell and scream. One guy said on one of my videos, I got a couple minutes in and I turned it off. I couldn't stand watching him cheat. I'm done. And so he apparently quit watching because he hated Paul Ulibarri's step putt that much.
I did see on Reddit someone called Graham on a foot fault on the very first hole, and he goes back and I don't know which video it was, but looked at it and said, "Oh yeah, crap, I think I did." Like, I don't know if he stepped on a mini or he just barely stepped.
Yeah, I think that's what someone had said.
And so I thought that was kind of funny. He's like, I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for that. I'm really upset.
Yeah.
But
if there's one thing I've learned, you make a mistake on the internet and everybody will tell you.
So there's that.
There it is.
God.
Hole 6, I called Ulibarri Macbeth. There's like 20 comments. You called Ulibarri Macbeth. You called you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't see the other 19 people that pointed that out. So if you have nothing to do, go out to that video and tell me that I called Paul Ulibarri, Paul Macbeth.
Yeah.
Add yourself to the list. So thank you for everyone to be out there to pointing out all the mistakes. We appreciate it. We cannot improve unless you beat it into our heads how bad we can be. So we got a lot of good news. We'll chatter about some of that a little later. And of course, real quick, another timestamp as posted. Well, I don't know if it's a timestamp, but Paul and Hannah getting married this weekend. Of course, congrats to them. They're down in Miami.
Are they still married? I mean, it's been a few days.
I know. It wasn't a Britney Spears nuptial here. So they're down in Miami on their honeymoon. Congrats to them tying the knot this last weekend. All right. I think we can move into conversation. Kids first disc golf. I'm thinking kids. That segues right off the Paul and Hannah conversation. I'm not going to start any rumors.
Why not? That's the most fun is to start rumors.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to get there yet. So in a moment, we're going to have both Matt and Josh join us. They're going to come from remote locations. We're getting all crazy here. Keep bringing in all these multiple guests from all over the country.
I know.
You working with Elon Musk? What do you got some?
Here's what I will say, and the boys are in our green room right now. I got to watch a car orbit the Earth with a spaceman in it.
Using that orbit word.
And there are times that we're in a public park and can't get internet signal, and I'm watching something thousands of miles away from our core of our Earth, and it has almost 1080p signal. So there's no reason why we can't. They must not be using Verizon.
Disc golf problems, I think.
All right, let's bring these boys on.
All right, from kids first, we've got Matt and Josh Graham. How are we guys doing? How are we doing tonight, guys?
Hey, doing great.
Hey,
thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
Good. So, first of all, let's get right to it. Where are you guys at? Introduce yourselves, and then tell everybody where you're at.
All right, Matt, you can go.
So there, he just introduced me. My name is Matt Graham. I am working with Kids Disc Golf. It was an idea I had, and I am currently residing in the world-famous town of Maple Hill Disc Golf, Leicester, Massachusetts. So that's where I live.
Okay. And Josh?
And then Josh Graham. I know that you just guys are Josh and Matt, right? So now you've got a second Josh and Matt in here. But brothers, and I'm in New Hampshire, southern New Hampshire. I actually lived in Leicester as well. That's where I got introduced to disc golf and moved up here about 9 years ago.
Okay. Well, and I have to apologize. I think a moment ago, I in fact just referred to you guys as kids first, and I don't know where I'm getting the first from. Maybe we'll just throw that word in there. I apologize. But you guys started Kids Disc Golf. What exactly, what's the premise, and what are you guys trying to accomplish?
All right, I'll take the lead on this. It was kind of my, if you want to call it, I don't want to say brainchild, but I had a kid 8 years ago. I have 3 boys now, but my first son is just about turning 8 years old. And that was the prime of my disc golf wannabe career.
I feel you. My boy's 8 years old as well. I get it.
Perfect. So I was in the prime, and I was addicted to it to the point where I was bringing him out on the course with a bottle because my wife said I couldn't play anymore. So I brought him with me, and he was drinking there on the course. Long story short, we progressed up to about 5 years old, and he just kept wanting to go to leagues and tournaments with me. And I was just like, buddy, it's not the right place and time for you. We go out casual rounds, but he wanted to compete because he thought I was having fun doing it. So that's where the idea came. I said, you know what? I can't tell him no anymore. I'm getting sick of it. He can't come with me. I said, let's do a tournament. And the name Kids Disc Golf is very simple. It came from our first tournament we called Kids Disc Golf Tournament. And we had about 40 kids show up within a couple weeks of promotion. And they were actually under the age of 12, which was really cool. It was held at Pyramids Disc Golf Course, Marshall Street. That's where we held our first tournament. And long story short, progressed a few more years. We saw some really big growth. And we decided to formalize this and actually turned it into something that has a plan behind it. And I brought on my partner here, Josh, my brother, who is interested. And I can just tell you the premise behind it is this. We want to provide premier competitive opportunities for youth, for junior disc golfers. We didn't think that was there. A lot of focus on the clinics, which we totally support. A lot of focus on education, which we totally support, because without that, what we're going to provide would not be necessary. So when we go and reach out to different manufacturers, brands, other businesses, we tell them we're providing what we feel is lacking. For the kids who are learning about it, we're giving them that opportunity to practice towards something so they can compete. And we're seeing a tremendous response. And so that's what we do. We have a lot of ways that we see that.
All right, you kind of faded out there a little bit at the end for your audio, but let's go over to Josh.
Josh, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just going to say, how was it when he brought you on? What was the first of all, how many kids do you have, if any?
Yeah, I've got 12.
Okay.
No.
That's a lot of uncles.
No way. But I do have 3, and
that you know of.
That's always that weird to think about. Yeah, 3 that I know of. Thank you.
It's a bad old joke.
So I've got 3: an 8-year-old daughter, 6-year-old son, and 3-year-old daughter. And my daughters love playing in the backyard, but my son really wants to go to the course all the time. And so it was exciting. I mean, we're probably not going to have tons of time here to talk about everything we've done over the last year or two. But for example, we ran like 12 events last year in the Northeast. My son competed in most of them in the 6 and under division. And he's stoked to have an actual competitive experience at 6. And so believe me, it's a lot about having fun and all the normal things at that age. But he wins a trophy, right? And to him, that's like, if you meet him, he's like, "Hi, my name's Carter. I've got a trophy on my shelf." So it's neat to be able to do that. But to Matt's point, premier competitive opportunities. In a moment, we can probably hit, if Matt's audio is back, to some of the other things that we're doing around. If our objective is premier competitive events, right, there's some things we do to fuel that, right? So we've got some membership options, which really kind of help excite the kids and give them some, merchandise, kind of this idea of oriented towards this brand of kids disc golf and really get them engaged. You may have seen some stuff, or if not, we could talk about it, where we're connected to the Pro Tour this year, right? So we'll have a Meet the Professionals opportunity at every single Pro Tour event. And so, so those are some of kind of the extra things that we're doing to fuel the interest for juniors in the game. But ultimately, our brand is about providing the top, premier competitive experiences. And that can happen, locally and regionally. We'll support that. But then this is where we could probably segue to at a national scale, right, of running an event like the United States Junior Disc Golf Championship. So, I'll gladly jump into that. But
let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, awesome.
Can I just give the quick intro to that? Is my audio back?
Yeah, it's good.
Perfect. So one of our goals, we quickly wrote down some goals when we kind of formalized this. And one of our goals was to run the first ever World Championship for juniors as a standalone event. This was before it was announced. And within about a month or 2 of us making that, jotting it down on our note sheet, Dynamic Disc announced that they were receiving that for the next 3 years. And I've got to be honest, we were really stoked about that. We said junior disc golf has progressed a little further than we already had thought. So we started making plans at that point. We said, what's next? We said, let's run the first U.S. national title. And that's about how long ago this has been in the plans for us. We reached out to the PDGA, and here we are now. Josh is the TD and the official project manager for all things U.S. Championship here. So, Josh, take it away if you want. If you have any questions, ask.
Yeah. Yeah, so Terry and Johnny, you guys know how easy it is to run events, and so I volunteered right away. But with that being said, obviously, to Matt's point around the context, I mean, we're excited to do this event. I mean, more or less, we kind of put together a pretty elaborate formal proposal, kind of circulated it amongst some key contacts we've got in the disc golf world. Did end up talking with the PDGA. We talked with Joe Chargaloff about it. Mike Downs, Andrew Sweeten, and the list of names to kind of say, we really want to do this. Basically, it ended up resulting in, yeah, let's go for it. So 2018, first ever USJ DGC, so the Junior Disc Golf Championship. Obviously, you've got, the other, the US DGC, as we all know, the Women's DGC, Amateur DGC. So, it seemed to be a natural niche, especially with the growth, as Matt said, Junior Worlds and all that. So it seemed like a natural opportunity. So, in 2018, you've got the first standalone Junior Worlds and the first U.S. Junior Disc Golf Championship. That's pretty cool for the growth of the junior game. So you mentioned earlier Smuggler's Notch. So if you heard, Matt and I are both in the Northeast. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's actually the primary reason we ended up at Smuggler's, but it certainly helps. I think the primary reason is simply because the venue is perfect for a junior-focused venue. Right? What do they say? They're America's, number one family resort.
Yep.
Yeah. So in those of you who have been, or if just go to their website, I mean, the amenities they have to cater towards a family environment, right? So come with your family, your kids. They can play some disc golf, but if you've ever traveled with your kids, you do an activity, and then it's kind of like, now what? Right? Yep. I'm at a hotel.
Yep.
Right? Like, do we go out for dinner? Like, So the idea is this environment is just like perfect. It's neat. It's August 3rd through the 5th. We tried to sneak it in the summer before school starts. It's about 1 month before Pro Worlds. So there's kind of a neat point there, too. These kids get to come and play literally the same courses that are going to be played in Worlds, right? So we will be using both of the standard courses there for these kids to play on. We've got like an awesome planning team. So, I mean, I think Matt and I really bring a heavy junior focus and junior experience, but then Chris Young, right, who's probably chirping on the board right now. I'm not looking at it.
Yeah, he's there.
He's here making sure everyone knows.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, and he's got connections there, but he has a passion for it. And you guys know he's very active. So we're thrilled. Dustin Leatherman's working with us. So you guys know them. And then Jeff Spring, right, clearly with the Smugs connection, Pro Worlds TD. So we've got a pretty solid team. We're excited. We've got tons of connections that are in progress and forming with partners. So just really quick, our premier partners. So these are our top level sponsors for this event. We've really steered away from the idea of title sponsorship. We kind of want to really spread this opportunity, especially with the junior game. But it's, familiar names, right? So Dynamic Discs, Innova Champion Discs, Discraft, and Upper Park Design Bags. That's the list of our 4 premier partners, but there's a lot more in the works. Honestly, everybody's overly supportive. Most any other manufacturer name you know of, or probably we're trying to talk with them or they want to talk with us. So everybody's been supportive across the board. The one other comment I'll make, and then I'll end my run-on, paragraph here, is we have opened phase 1 registration, and this is probably unique from a junior experience. We did a tiered-based registration, right? So you had to be a certain rating for each division to register up to this point. Even with the tier-based rating, we've had 32 people register from 18 states. So
wow.
We've got Alaska, Texas, Oklahoma, Kentucky, up the eastern seaboard, or Washington or Oregon. So, and that's in this tiered registration. The big thing we want you to probably take away here, or at least for your audience, is February 12th. So that's Monday. So it's coming Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, is the full open registration. So, right, of course, with juniors, we've got to facilitate 12 divisions. So, Terry, you run a lot of events. How many events have you run that have 12 divisions in it?
Unfortunately, too many because when you talk about Wisconsin. But, yeah, 12 divisions is definitely a handful, especially when you're talking about everybody not even being of legal age to sign their own waivers.
Right. So anyway, so I mean, that's me blabbing on, but that's the event. We're excited, obviously. It's February, so we've got plenty of time. But man, you look at that calendar, there's a lot to do. But we're excited.
Okay, so February 12th is the big takeaway in terms of the completely open registration for everyone. Where can they find the registration? And because is it deemed a major, and therefore do they have to be PDGA members? Or is there
good question. So the two questions. So first of all, it's on Disc Golf Scene. Okay. Or simply go to usjdgc.com. Okay, so that's the URL, right? Hopefully that's pretty simple to remember. If you go there, you can get a link to our page where the registration and event details are all there. And then secondly, it is not a major. It's actually a B tier, which is an interesting discussion. This goes back to the conversation with the PDGA. There is probably a road for this event to become a major, but they're really trying to kind of understand and keep control on how quickly they expand majors. So the idea is let's run this event, see how it turns out, and then discuss the expansion. Oh, I think Matt and I would have some questions. Of course, you would love an event to be a major because of the nature of the event. At the same time, it brings into that question of being a PDGA member requirement. And for a junior event, is that where every single player's at? So that'll be a discussion we'll have to have with them when that time comes. But this year, just a B tier. So if you've got a junior who's 18 and younger as of the end of this year, they're eligible, right? Get them in and sign them up.
Okay. Well, and it's funny, as soon as I actually uttered the question, I thought back to myself, well, a major would be cool because of the accolades, but you have to then, like you said, become a member. Technically, juniors are waived of the $10 fee when it comes to PDGA events. So, again, baby steps, I guess pardon the pun, but baby steps. You guys don't necessarily need to have that that requirement in place, and as you said, that's something you guys will likely be building to. So, Matt, maybe I'll ask you this. When you guys talk about hosting these premier events, what about the events specifically do you feel will, we know Smuggler's Notch is an amazing resort and an amazing facility. Unfortunately, the other 7,000 courses in the country aren't all quite up to their snuff in terms of amenities and what they offer. But when you guys talk about premier, is that course quality? Is that amenities? Is that lodging? What are some of the things that you guys want to focus on when you're talking about a premier event or experience?
So, first of all, we focus on the competition. But with that being said, we try to make it an environment that, let's put it this way, the professionals would want to attend, but they can't because it's a junior event. So here's how that looks. We will, and we did experience, we ran state series championships last year. We did some pilots in a couple states to see how that would work. And what we focused on, especially at the premier championship event itself, we did things like tee times. We did really nice player packs. We have really nice trophies and awards. We recognize them on a podium with a backdrop. We're really trying to do things that you don't see, maybe even at some pro level tournaments. We're trying to add in a lot of fine details which make the kids feel like something legitimate is happening. It's not just thrown together. Everything from, hopefully they could see even in our website, the way we ask for registrations, the partners that we bring in, the banners. We hang up banners. We do feather banners at the T1, that they drive through. We're taking a lot of cues from Steve Dodge and the Pro Tour, and the things that these guys are doing. We're really trying to take it to the next level. And it's really interesting to see, this is a whole nother point of conversation, but junior disc golfers being sponsored now at a pretty great rate. To where kids are showing up in collared shirts with the team they're playing for. And it just really seems to elevate everything at that competition to be more premier.
Well, and I can echo that because I've been to what have usually been in Am Worlds. I've attended quite a few Am Worlds throughout the last 10 or 15 years. And seeing these players and having some really funny interviews, I think back to a few of them. I think back to Minnesota, for instance, where I hung out with a bunch of juniors for an entire day, watching them play and getting some film and interviewing them, the way they conduct themselves, the when some of them are so polished and refined and they're talking about all their sponsors and you're just like, all right, kid, I got somewhere to be here. Can we wrap up this interview here? Like, you're in your sponsor list. And it's great to see because it's a whole new breeding ground of our next level professionals, and to see them being brought in and then hopefully brought through the ranks with all the we'll say management and or correct mannerisms and guidance and all of those things. It's just going to make for that many more younger professionals as they come up and go through the ranks. So I love seeing it. One other thing that I really like that I've noticed, and it's probably a little bit challenging for you guys, you're somewhat trying to some degree staying brand agnostic in that you're not just dialing in with any given brand on exclusively. And that's not just necessarily for this event, but it seems as if you said it earlier, you kind of want to spread the love and allow a lot of people to be involved. It's probably not from a lack of people wanting to exclusively partner with you. What's your thought process to keeping it so wide open?
So when we started Kids Disc Golf, we knew that there would be a lot of people interested in helping. One, they look at it as like a charitable type thing, which first we can kind of get that out of the way. We aren't a charity, but we're not in this to make the big bucks. And if we were, we're in the wrong business, right?
Yeah. Let me pull you aside and have a conversation about getting disc golf rich first. Okay.
Exactly. And we've had the conversation about going nonprofit. That may happen. So we're just going to see what's the right fit for us. But we're continuing to drive forward right now as we are. But that being said, I'm not going to drop any names or brands, but we've had people telling us, certain brands, well, if we give you X amount, we want, exclusivity, or we want this. And we try to, at this point in the game, we're trying to say we appreciate and know what you bring, but we believe that we're going to offer a better product if we spread it out. Mm-hmm. And at this point, we believe, and we aren't cocky or thinking we're the number one, the best in the world, but we believe if we offer a great product, that people are going to be willing to share the love, if you will. And that's what we're seeing at this national event. And when we ran our 2 state series championships last year, we actually made sure that the title sponsorship went to 2 different manufacturers of disc golf at each state series. So we're trying to make sure that we're spreading it out. And we think that's probably going to be the best product for everybody.
You guys mentioned earlier that you're taking a few cues and maybe looking at Steve Dodge's blueprint, which can be great from time to time. No, we love Steve.
Hi, Steve.
But when you're talking about the partnership for this year, you mentioned a little bit about the meet and greets. How do you guys see that partnership unfolding this year? What are some of the specifics?
So let me just kind of tie that into our Kids Disc Golf membership. So I'm just going to rewind just a little bit to last year. If you want to call it a pilot, we rolled out our Kids Disc Golf memberships, and that was specifically tied to our state series championship. So the benefits were very, I want to say regional/local, meaning if they were a member, they were getting points tracked, like a series of points tracked at these championship events, and they could actually win, kind of like Steve Dodge did at the Pro Tour. They could win the point series championship, even if they didn't place first in the championship. So we did that as one of the benefits. We had Paul Macbeth do a meet and greet up here for people who are members. They could come and be a part of that. We did a lot of local benefits. Now, we wanted to take this out on a national level. We really wanted to offer benefits to everybody. And I'm here right now to say PDGA is awesome. They're a great organization, the governing body of disc golf. We totally support them. But we don't see beyond the ratings. We don't see for juniors a lot of actual benefits to a junior themselves to become a member. They get a cool disc, they get a card or whatever, and they get the magazine subscription. My son loves that. But what we wanted to do was think about what could be kid specific. So our membership right now, when we rolled it out on this national level, we said we can at least start rolling out regional benefits. So where every Disc Golf Pro Tour event is, we are going to have something for Kids Disc Golf members. Now, I will also say we're going to invite all kids to come. They don't have to be a member. There will just be a small fee to get into these meet and greets to cover costs of pizza and whatever else we have going on. But we rolled it out on a national level. We joined up with Steve Dodge last year at the what was the Vibram Open. Now it's the MVP Open. I don't want to have to put anything in your jar.
Yeah.
So we joined up with him last year, and we sat down and had, I think it was a taco or a burrito with him in between event stuff. And we started talking and trying to cast the vision for him. And he was really excited about the opportunities there. And I think I'm just going to I don't want to spill all the beans yet, but you're going to see some cool things later in the year with the Disc Golf Pro Tour that we haven't announced yet, where I think we may see some juniors, maybe even under your coverage, Terry. I don't know. We're going to have to, I might be spilling more than I'm supposed to say, but there's going to be some cool opportunities for juniors to be spotlighted a little bit. But back to the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So we're going to have these meet and greet professionals, and at this first stop of the Memorial, while we can't guarantee the players that will be there, they've said they would at this point, and it's Nate Sexton, Jeremy Colling, Ricky Wysocki, and Paige Pierce will be doing this meet and greet for the kids disc golf members. And again, other kids are invited, but they'll just pay a small fee. And
I like that you call them. I like that you call them out, because now, even though they've agreed to it, their names out there in the ether, and they kind of have to show up now. So you might as well just thrown out some other names, and
if not, there'll be big signs that said these four hate kids, or this person hates kids if they don't show.
I made sure, and I'm not disclosing my full conversation with each of them, but I made sure I said, hey, is it okay if I use your name in advertising? And they said yes. So they're great people. We're excited to have them on. We can't say for sure what each Pro Tour will provide for professionals. We don't want to burn anybody out and do it at every event, but they're welcome to, and we're going to keep working to set up the future events. But that's our partnership there and the Kids Disc Golf membership together. So we're really excited about this year. I think by the end of this year, we'll have a good idea about, I guess, what the future is going to look like for kids disc golf, because we're trying a lot of things. The big national title event, and then we have the membership and the partnership with the Pro Tour. And I don't know how much longer we have here, but I'll just kind of say, just for point of interest, maybe you have some questions based off what I'm about to say. We actually kind of squashed the State Series championships that we piloted last year for this year. And the reason for that was because we were individually, Kids Disc Golf was running all of these events. Now, you guys know, if you don't have this as your full-time job, if you're doing 12 events a year, that's a lot of work. And then
he's working so hard that he couldn't keep up.
Skype can't even keep up with all of his ideas.
He'll probably jump back in. But I mean, in short, I was part of it. We were running a lot of events. We were busy. So this year, this is the idea, right? So we ran these events. This year, we actually went out to all these people and said, hey, if junior disc golf is growing, why don't you guys run the events, right? Meaning literally, so in Maine, maybe Matt's gone. In Maine, in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, this year, all of those states are running kind of their own organic events. And we are kind of considering them to be qualifiers for a Northeast championship for juniors, right? So it's that kind of stuff that we're doing. I mean, and we're excited. It's every year you learn something more about what you're trying to do, make it reasonable for the people, make it scalable for us. So we'll keep trying, testing and learning.
Well, yeah, you guys are still in very early stages, and we see the Pro Tour, the World Tour, the American Tour. Everybody's just trying to find.
Please, no.
Okay, sorry. Everyone's just still trying to find their way, though. I mean, we're all faced with different challenges. We're growing every week at SmashBoxx in terms of how we can improve from year after year. And so to say that you guys don't have every answer, everything perfectly dialed in, or know exactly where you're going to be even 1 year from now, I think is perfectly fine, because you're going to grow and react to the needs that are out there, and I think that's a really smart way to look at it. So I guess, welcome back, buddy. So I guess we are going to start wrapping things up, but one of the questions that I think I would have, along with I'm sure lots of others, if they want to support kids disc golf, if they want to embrace what you guys are doing, maybe they're not in your area or nothing's happening in their area right now. What are some of the ways, either financially or in any other form of support, how can people support the mission and the vision that you guys are putting out there.
So if my audio is back, which hopefully it is here, so we get contacted constantly. Literally, I apologize to everybody that's out there right now. Like, it's probably just something I'm gonna have to figure out how to do. Responding to everybody that's asking how they can be involved. So
Good luck.
that is a question. Yeah, that is a question we are getting constantly, and the support is very encouraging. So thank you for that. But people are like, hey, can I be a state coordinator for this state or that state? And the answer is this: we have big dreams and visions, and we are going to eventually get to that point where we have state coordinators helping host these events and regional things. How they can help at this point is send us a message, let us know, because it does go into a folder. If we don't respond, it goes into a folder and your name goes down, that when we're ready, we're going to reach out. So if people want to do that on our website, you can do that. You can actually find your state on our website and click on it and say, I'm interested for this state. The other thing is our Kids Disc Golf memberships. I'm going to be honest, we aren't making, again, the money issue. We aren't making a whole bunch of money. We have some great sponsorships in there. We've got Innova in there. We've got Dynamic Discs in there. We've got Dude Apparel in there. We've got Upper Park Designs in there. I don't want to leave anybody out, but we've got a lot of stuff in there. And so for people to purchase these memberships for kids or other people, it helps get the awareness out there of what we're doing. And I think awareness is going to be a big thing. Coming and trying to spread the word about these events. Follow us on social media. We have people sharing stuff all the time. All the regular things there. And you brought up a point there is we'd like to give away a Kids Disc Golf membership tonight on your show. So
what?
Yeah.
That's awfully. When you guys are doing these, just to clarify as well, the perfect timing is this is an annual membership where people can renew. Is that the premise to it, right?
Yeah, and I think it will continue to develop as the years go on. But at this point, it's a yearly annual membership where you renew. You do keep a lifetime member number. So that's kind of a cool little feature there. And this current membership, you will get a Max Mini with your member number on it. So
wow, cool.
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
And Matt, I know you mentioned it, but like I'll just mention it here, right? So it's $39.99 for the membership. Let's not go through the whole list again because Matt kind of rattled it off. But honestly, like the merchandise value for your kid is well worth it. There's a disc. What is it? Is it Disc Golf United coupon in there? That's what's it worth, Matt?
So it's worth $200. If you spend $400, you get 50% off. It's worth $200. So it's a 50% off Innova card, Innova VIP card. So like, we're telling you to buy it for the kid. But I
want to meet these pros. Can I sign up? Can I sign up too?
So
if you're single, go out and have a kid.
so
you can take advantage of this great offer.
Well,
this is why Paul and Hannah got married this past weekend. They're trying to accelerate. They want one of our membership packs.
I understand.
So no, but you can buy this we have people buying this. There was a guy out in Utah who bought this for his junior disc golf team. He had a team of juniors that he sponsored, and he bought one for everyone in his team. So like, you can do this. You can buy this for another kid. I'm not telling you to pull out the VIP card and take it for yourself, but you can do this and use it the best way you can. I think it's a tremendous offering that we're providing here. And so we'd like to give away one of those. And Josh, just to correct it, it's actually $34.99. So tonight, you get to save $5. So $34.99, but the value is extreme, and we'd like to give it away. So I have an idea about how to give it away. Is that cool with you?
Yeah,
it's cool with me. And so we'll give you everyone just a few moments, as always. If you want to participate, this is going to be a trivia-based question. So if you want to participate and answer, go out to the YouTube live chat and make sure you follow along there. If you're listening in post-production or a day or two later, sorry, too bad. It's the premium for being here and being live. But you must answer on the live YouTube chat. There'll be plenty of right answers probably on the Facebook, but we officially use our YouTube chat that's directly in front of Johnny and I as our official answer board. So just so everyone knows, and it may show up differently on your wall versus our wall, but what we see is what we'll go by. That's the official wall. And is it the question you had asked earlier, or you sent me earlier?
Yeah.
So I know what to look for. I'm going to tell Johnny. I'm going to make sure Johnny sees the answer.
This
Right
could
there.
go. This could go kind of quick. This could
All
go
right.
kind of quick. But let's see how. Well, I don't know. We'll have to see here.
I think it's kind of a surprise what it'll be. So I'm ready.
All right. So, us being kids disc golf and excited about all things related to the youth sport, we thought this would be an interesting question to ask. With that being said, here we go. Without further ado, the 100,000th PDGA member number was given away, purchased this year. How old was the individual who received the PDGA member number 100,000? How old was the individual?
All right, I know we discussed this a couple weeks ago on the show. We might even have given the answer at that point. Someone's going to hopefully remember.
We got the answers are piling in.
Lots of people we've
Lots
seen.
of people so not close. Holy cow. We may have to scroll back up a little, Johnny. There it is.
UDisc. Really? UDisc. I don't think you got no kids, UDisc. You win.
Well, he can gift it to a kid. And
he
that's
can gift
the
it
cool
to a
part
kid.
Here.
That's right.
It's very cool.
I'm not sure if that's Matt or Josh, but holding down the holding down
Too many.
Exactly. Holding down the UDisc app. You are right. The answer is 11. Congratulations, UDisc. You know the procedure. Go to SmashBoxxTV/winners and put your stuff in there. We'll get that to the kids disc golf guys, and you can gift that to somebody or have a kid. One or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to hold on to it for 9 months, I'm cool with that.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'd never heard such a great incentive to have a kid.
Or if you're Robert Leonard, just like 5 months. That kid, his kids want to come out way early.
Yes.
So,
all right, guys. Well, Chris has obviously been a big advocate out here on the board. Yes. It's a little scary when I have a more prominent placement than your picture of your kids in the background, but I guess I'm flattered. We can't see that one. Move it over a little. Oh, gee.
oh my Lord! Wow, woo!
All right. Some
Lordy.
Sorry, after show material.
I
sorry.
don't know. Those are a little
Sorry.
racy for kids disc golf here, but
Sorry.
no, you're good. But seriously, we're really excited to see the event unfold this year. We're excited to see what you guys have in store. I know that you guys are working really hard to get things moving, and you're learning and growing as you're going, and it's exciting for everyone. And I was going to mention it earlier. Just like I see Dave Felberg on the board, who represents Next Gen and kind of that hardcore
That's not Dave.
amateur side. And we have our professional side that's represented by a couple of different tours, and now our junior side. And it's really a testament to how the sport is growing, that we have all these little, niche markets that can thrive and flourish and do so many good things, because the PDGA, as much as we all support them here, we know that there's just simply not enough people and not enough resources there to fully embrace every one of these individual channels. So with you guys, for instance, leading that way on the kids side, I think it's a great place to go, and we see that just kind of sprawling everywhere. So it sounds like we're in good hands with you guys, and we really look forward to it. And we'll continue to do what we can do here to advocate and promote for you guys. I think I'm going to have to go out there and take a look at those memberships and maybe pick one up so I can meet those pros.
That's at Kids Disc Golf. KidsDiscGolf.com. You'll find it there. Membership link.
KidsDiscGolf.com.
Sorry,
Yeah,
we each have 2 kids. So.
Johnny's got it up on the chat. We'll also put some links out there. So I want to thank you guys, Matt and Josh. Again, should always be easy enough to remember. Our friends over at UDisc are Matt and Josh, as you said. But
you should have us all on at one night. You should have us on at the same time.
I don't know if we need that. I'm just kidding. But seriously, thank you guys for the info. We're glad to have you, and we look forward to continuing to promote and push the updates out there as much as we can moving forward.
Appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. Thanks for the support.
Thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate it.
Have a good night, guys. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night. Again, Matt and Josh Graham of Kids Disc Golf. I don't know why I keep wanting to throw that word first in there.
I'm not sure either, but
I don't know.
At Kids Disc Golf, it looks. We've said, and it's no surprise, that if you want to grow the sport, you do it from the bottom up, and that is the youngest of the young. Get it in schools, get the kids involved, and you're going to expand the player base in the years to come. So I'm really looking forward to that. If only I could convince my kid that disc golf was fun.
Yeah, any given day. So August 3rd through the 5th, that's taking place, again, out there at Smuggler's Notch Resort. We've touted that place ever since I went there for the first time 3 years ago. I've, like so many others, fallen in love with it. It's an amazing resort, facility, amenities, everything else that they have to offer. So it's such a natural fit. And for them to be hosting the junior event, and then almost to the day, 1 month later, be hosting the Pro Worlds event, that speaks volumes of what Smuggler's Notch is capable of. If
Certainly.
the PDGA is willing to invest and put that much trust in what they have going on, that, again, huge for Smuggler's Notch. Jeff Spring, Chris, all those guys over there, thank you guys for what you're doing. So, and World Championships, like I said, yeah, just 1 month after, the 2nd through the 9th. Speaking of the Worlds, real quick side note before we get to you, before we get to Lisa, big announcement made in the last 24 or 36 hours. The Worlds listen to you and me.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much we're the only ones that said it, that 4 rounds wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm. We're basically setting policy at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we should go into government. Don't you think? Maybe. So,
do we have any dirt that people can dig up? I mean, I saw a picture right there.
I think your French maid's costume says volumes. So yes, the Pro Worlds, PDGA announced Pro Worlds is moving to 5 rounds this 2018 iteration. This is the PDGA, the MPO and FPO Pro Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak to the Junior Worlds, the AM Worlds, and the Masters version Worlds. I don't know any other specifics or if there's any out of the ordinary changes being made for any of those. But the Pro Worlds with MPO, FPO is moving to 5-round format here in 2018.
And they talked about the reasons were, one of the main reasons they claimed was for weather. In case of some sort of weather delay. Last year kind of scared them. We had some lightning delays and things of that nature. Thankfully, we were able to get everything to go off without a hitch, so to speak. But now, if something like that were to happen, having a 3-round Worlds would be almost unthinkable. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go to 5 rounds.
With a cut of sorts.
With a cut, and I like it. I think it's a great idea. I've said before, right now, we have all of our majors at 4 rounds. So to me, Worlds didn't feel special as it could. Like if you want to highlight for some reason this particular major over the other ones, find a way to distinguish it. And I think adding that extra round was a good way to do that. It adds just a little bit more room for these players to show. I think that we are going to see this. I think it's going to stay that way. I think it's going to be a 5-round tournament, and hopefully I don't get, next year no one, changes it back to 4. But I think a 5-round tournament is really the perfect length for Worlds.
I think it will continue to be scheduled for at least 5 rounds. Whether it increases by 1 round and gets to 6 or gets to 5.5, who knows? But I think you will for sure see it scheduled for 5. As you said, that buffer built in case there's one crazy day where just rain or other conditions or whatever the case might be just completely wipe out a day of competition. It makes perfect sense that then in worst case scenario, you would have potentially then 4 rounds to play from. I think it makes perfect sense. I followed up. I believe it or not, I did a little bit of research. I even reached out. I had a hunch. This was a hunch that we thought it was a little strange that they kept with the Wednesday start and went through Sunday. In my and I'm sure a Smashy can correct us because we're wrong once in a while. I don't recall World Championships ever ending on a Sunday in the last 20 or so that I've been to. I've been to actually 30 some overall. I don't recall any ending on Sundays. At one point, they made it a Saturday finish. It always seemed to make perfect sense with travel, or maybe really early on they ended. I don't recall. But so it's going from Wednesday to Sunday. And when asked, I said, is that because this year Labor Day is so close to the start of it? And over at the PDGA, they confirmed, Michael Downs had a quick conversation with him, and he said, yeah, with Labor Day happening, and essentially, not essentially, Labor Day is Monday. So with Labor Day being Monday, by pushing the start date up to Tuesday, the fees or the resort fees, I think, over at Smugs were still probably on season, maybe a little bit more. So really, it was a really well thought out decision this year that moving to the 5 days, but then extending it on the back end seemed to work out better than probably an added expense of having it on the front end, plus that whole official holiday.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Which we never have had to really worry about in the past.
Correct. We haven't had to deal with September Worlds in the past. It makes a lot of sense. I know you and I talked about it. I hope that in the future, if Worlds is pushed back, into August or July, which we've seen in the past, I like it ending on a Saturday personally.
And he said that's exactly what it will go.
But for this particular instance, you make an adjustment. It makes complete and total sense, and I'm looking forward. I think the PDGA made the right decision, and I'm looking forward to what's going on.
Yeah, and Michael said, ideally, we'll work with every team, and every situation is going to be a little different with timing. But ideally, they would, in fact, start on a Tuesday and then still end on that Saturday, making that the normal 5-day span. It just this year was, again, a little bit unique, dealing with the Labor Day weekend on that front end. So, congrats, hats off, all of those things. We fully agree, we support this message. I don't know, however you want to word it, but really cool to see a little more golf for, I think, a lot of the right reasons taking place. Again, making Worlds a little bit more special. So,
well, we can ask someone about the 5-round
Speaking
Worlds.
Of an amazing performance at the World Championships, joining us now for the first time, Lisa Fajkus. How you doing tonight, Lisa?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
As I told you, you are long overdue. You asked if there was a special occasion, and I said, no, you're overdue.
Yeah, we're well overdue. You've been performing way out of our expectations, but clearly not your own.
Mine.
What was that?
I said not mine.
No,
I expected her there.
No, I was thinking at the beginning of the year you were virtually an unknown to the national scene. So what have you done this past year? What changes in your game, or what have you done that has really propelled you to the top of the FPO division?
Yeah, I just think I was on tour basically the last 2 years, and that propelled my game, going new places and playing disc golf every day, basically, new places and seeing new courses, more tournaments. It just propels my game. So this is my 3rd year, being on tour, and I don't know, just feeling really good about the progression.
Good.
Now, you give everyone a little bit of your background. You've been playing a little bit longer than probably what most people would assume. I mean, your PDGA number is 32,654, so that puts a little bit of a timestamp out there. Give everyone a little bit of your background and your playing.
I started in 2005, so I'm coming up on 13 years now this summer. So I've been playing quite a long time, but I stayed locally for the first 10 years or so, because there's a big local scene in Austin and the Central Texas area. So just enjoyed the local tournaments before I kind of spread my wings a little bit more and got out there.
Yeah, and I see you were talking about the last few years. 2015, it looked like you played about 17 or 16 sanctioned events. And then in 2016 and 2017, you played like 28 or 29 sanctioned events. So you definitely took that big leap, and you were playing a lot more. What was the deciding factor that made you say, you know what, it's time to spread your wings, as you said, and try this out full time?
It's a good question. I got sponsored by Innova, and I was just decided I'm going on tour, kind of. So that was a big deciding factor when I got sponsored. They're helping me out on tour, so kind of took that and ran with it.
How long? Well, maybe let's back up. Who are some of your influences in that area, and who are some of the other names that either we may recognize or may not? I realize not everyone's out on the tour full time, but who are some of the names and some of your mentors or influencers in that area?
Just starting off, definitely Des and Jay Redding, kind of the big touring pros in the area who we all look up to, and they're amazing people in general. So just having that, just seeing that firsthand, and hopefully having that rub off on me a little bit, and just having them just as people I look up to, as well as like Paige Pierce. Of course, she's a fellow Texan, someone I've always looked up to over the years, and seeing her, of course, be on tour forever. She started back in the day on tour with Eric McCabe, and yeah, I mean, those are some big influences on me. Even like Liz Lopez back in the day, she was big in the Texas scene. So yeah, I always wanted to compete against the best and try my best to see how good I am. So.
Now, when I think about some of those players, and I think about just the overall Texas disc golf atmosphere, some people don't realize Texas disc golf is like, there's so many courses, there's so many players, there's an unbelievable amount of events. Do you feel like you maybe would have had that push, or you would have been as excited in some place where disc golf wasn't such a focus in that area?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Being in Texas, it kept me busy. There's so many communities within Texas. I actually moved to Corpus Christi for a year and a half, and about 3 years ago, and just enjoyed that community there. Got to know the local scene, and then also there's a good scene in Houston, Dallas, and then of course the Central Texas area. So plenty to keep you busy with disc golf here. So what really made me want to travel more was just wanting to compete against bigger women's fields. That's a struggle, of course, over the years, is having like smaller women's fields, like 4 or 5 would be a good women's field locally in Texas. And then I basically wanted to just start going to the U.S. women's events, because that's where you get, 20, 30, 40 women in an event. So that was the icebreaker for me getting out there.
Yeah, seeing the way that the U.S. Women's Championships has not only traveled around the country, but then, as you say, you're talking about those record numbers of 150 or so this last year in Tennessee and Johnson City. Just so many, just such a great atmosphere, and I can see how that could invigorate you and get you excited about playing more. When you moved into the touring full time, what were you doing before that? What were some of your, whether it was your other passions possibly, and career, what were some of those things that you were doing before you're like, I'm going to hit the road full time?
Well, I mean, disc golf has really been a passion of mine for a long time. So beyond that, I was a student for a long time. In and out of college, just kind of feel my way. What am I doing? What's my major? All this stuff. But disc golf has always been just on the back of my mind, kind of like, how am I going to fit this into my life moving forward? So, I ended up getting a teaching degree. I actually just graduated last December. Going back and forth to college, and then part-time work here and there, and just disc golf in between. So a lot of that, yeah.
Okay, and I think about Dynamite, who obviously is a regular contributor here. Dana has his degree in teaching as well, and he very much has had that flexibility of, in his case, doing a lot of substitute teaching. Whether it was a slow part of the season or a few months at a time, whatever it was, he would be able to move into that role, substitute, and then still be able to fit his disc golf career playing. Are you going to be able to do kind of any of that to make it coincide, or are you just solely focused on being out and on the road?
Yeah, right now I'm actually committed 100% to disc golf, and this is the first year I've been able to say that. So I'm just really excited to be fully committed to my passion. And then just down the road, kind of on the burner, I would love to teach. I have my degree now, so substitute teaching is something that might be more realistic in the coming years. And then just transitioning into, full-time teaching eventually. But I also, I'm just really looking forward to everything disc golf right now. So.
Some people, I don't know if it's rude or not to ask how old, if you want to give a range, or I'm going to say 22.
What? Plus 10.
Okay. All right. So tell us, of course, there was this vision put out by Steve Dodge a couple of years ago. which it seems as if you've embraced because you've been on this pro tour. What has the pro tour meant to you? You talk about finding those larger women's fields at events and having to go kind of hunt for them, but what has the pro tour done for someone like yourself? How can you directly relate it to you?
So the pro tour it's a really great avenue for disc golf. It's just the organization that Steve puts in, the time and the energy he puts into it. So that right there, it attracts the women's fields. So it's great. I mean, it's it goes with the national tour. So it's up there. It's on the spotlight. Steve really pushes the media side of it as far as, the video coverage and things like that. So it's great for disc golf and promoting the sport. So getting more eyes on the sport. And so that goes as well as getting more women in the women's field. So it's a great thing. Yeah.
Well, and I guess I take for granted we've had the national tour, since the early 2000s, and it's been established, and it's ranged anywhere from 6 to maybe 10-ish events, somewhere in that neighborhood. And Steve, who started out with 5 events and now has expanded to 10. So when you talk about adding the 6 to 8 on the national tour and the 10 or so on the pro tour side, that's roughly 16 weekends right there in the heart of the playing season, plus some majors. That seems like a no-brainer for someone like yourself trying to make it on the road.
Yeah, for me it is. It's an easy decision. I feel like my position is unique, though, to many other females or even male traveling golfers. But, I mean, I'm definitely playing all the NTs this coming season. That's my main focus. And I want to play all the Pro Tour events. Unfortunately, I think I have a wedding. I'm going to skip probably one of them. Who's
the lucky guy? Oh, no, not you. You're not. Okay.
My cousin's getting married, so I'm probably going to go to that. And that's the plan. But no, I'm doing like all A tiers, mostly all A tiers, a couple B tiers on the schedule, and NTs and majors. So, just hitting the big events. That makes the most sense for me, for sure.
Okay, well, and one of the things that I've talked about it a lot throughout the coverage and throughout the year. One of the things that elevates you past most of the other women in the field, you had this amazing 3rd place finish at the Worlds, plus all these other great finishes. Fair or not, we've really pinned you as this unbelievable putter, because you are. I'd like to know, do you feel that way? And then what are some of your keys to that success?
I know putting is the strongest part of my game. And I'm really pleased right now with how it's coming along. With that said, I'm trying to work on the weaker parts of my game to bring it up, but I feel like it's getting there. What was the second?
Well, what are some of the keys? Some people are asked, do you have a routine? Are you thinking
your
about
practice schedule, things like that?
Stuff.
You know what? I always want to practice more. I feel like I don't practice enough, but I do practice. I have a routine, I always kind of go through my routine before every putt. So that's, of course, super important. Just, you think of it kind of as a free throw. You do the same thing. I was growing up, basketball was like my favorite sport. So I was always an athlete as well growing up, basketball and soccer. But especially basketball. So I kind of think of shooting baskets, comparing that to throwing putts. So I really enjoy putting, and it's just something I like to do. But so I guess, that's what you just find what you like. If you like to do it, then I just like to play games and practice. I'm always tweaking my putt constantly, kind of thinking about what I'm doing, how I'm missing, how my feet are, just thinking about everything. But then when I go and play, I really try to blank it out.
Well, you bring up a good point about your feet. You kind of have a unique jump putt, so to speak, from outside the circle, where it almost reminds me of a free throw, where your feet are together and you have a little hop.
Yeah.
Is that something that you developed on your own? Did you pick that up from anyone particular?
Not that I know of. It probably came from watching videos throughout the years. However, it came to me one day. I remember where I was and everything. I think I was at the Ledgestone tournament. However, anyways, it just randomly came to me one day. I was just like, I'm gonna start jump putting, and it's what you see now. I mean, I just started doing it that way, and I set up like I'm doing a regular long putt, and then at the last second, I'll bring my feet together, really close, like a squat, and then dip really low, and then propel off of that at the same time. So it gives me really good power and strength, and I can throw really straight, kind of. When you can't get that power on your regular putt, it really helps to get that extra power when you're jumping like that. It's just something that feels really good to me, and I'm just going to keep practicing it and developing in that. So
well, it seems to work. I wouldn't change anything up at this point.
Well,
so
it's really
working. Yeah, thank you.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say. I have learned, throughout watching so many people throughout the years, like, I can't say I always know when someone's going to make it, but watching someone play and you think, okay, well, this is more likely not going to be a successful putter. I don't really think much of them from this range, and then you learn after watching. Yeah. Ricky or Paul or yourself, I'm always thinking like, no, I'm not ruling this out. There's no reason she may not throw this in. Like I've learned to not be so shocked to see you throw one in from long range because you seem to get that dialed in more and more every single weekend. So when a lot of people are asking, and again, this is your first time with us in this format, so. It's sponsored by Innova, and we don't need the full in the bag, but maybe give us a couple of highlights as to maybe a couple of your main go-tos when it comes to your discs.
Well, like distance.
Sure, just run through like you generally. I like to throw blank off the tee. I'm frequently approaching with a such and such, and
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for the most part, it's going to be a star strike off the tee. It's giving me the most distance, a little bit of turnover, but can control it. I like to throw really straight power shots, so that one's giving me the most distance. And I'm throwing a lot of leopard threes right now. A lot of leopard threes for my fairways. I'm bagging a Champion Eagle and T-birds, Metal Flake T-bird. And then as well as like a Firebird. You got to have a Firebird and a Thunderbird in there for my my fairways, and an S-Line FD. So I'm just always bagging those. And then I got a Stingray for my mid-range. I got my Des Redding. I got my Star Rock, couple of rocks, Rock 3s actually. And what else do I have? I mean, those are the main go-tos. And then I've got my Nova and my AVRs, my KC Pro AVRs.
Is that your main putter, is the KC Pro AVR?
Yeah, that's my putter. And then for like long, like lofty putts, I'm throwing a Nova. Okay.
You don't hear I'm the mid range, the Scorpion. No, not Scorpion.
The Stingray.
Stingray. Sorry.
Stingray.
Yeah, you don't hear that actually very often on a lot of players.
An eagle, even.
You're right.
No. Other than Greg Barsby, you don't hear a lot of our top line level players. It's a great disc, but you just don't hear it often.
Don't forget, the Roadrunner is also like a staple in my bag.
I love the Roadrunner in my bag personally. It's a great long-distance turnover disc.
Yeah. So the Stingray is just like a Roadrunner, but shorter. It's like a mid-range Roadrunner. So think of it like that, and it flies so good. It's one of my favorite discs, by far.
Yeah, one of my most favorite discs of all time was an really old Glow Stingray that I had with a cool platypus stamp on it back in the day. And
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and it's you're right. It's an underrated disc for a lot of players these days.
Do you see yourself? You just talked about a lot of the main staples in your bag. Do you see yourself changing up really anything for the 2018 season? Is there, whether it's form, whether it's a bag or disc in the bag or accessories, is there anything major that you'll be changing up at all really moving into 2018?
One thing I can think of, I have a new bag sponsor.
Okay.
So,
and that is, who's that?
I can announce it's Pound. Okay. So, yeah, I'm really excited to be working with Pound. I'll be carrying some Pound bags this year. So it's just a new thing for me as far as the actual bag I'm carrying. But the discs that go in it, I definitely am going to be experimenting with a few new molds here and there. I've been training. I actually took lessons this off season, trying to tweak and improve my backhand. I know off the tee I can get a little bit better. I tend to sometimes get in trouble off the tee, but my putting makes up for it sometimes. But anyways, I'm just trying to work on those weaknesses. I sought out some, like I said, some training, some lessons this off season, and just trying to improve on my weaknesses and my strengths and just get better all around. Yeah.
Now, one of the things we're seeing a little bit more frequently in having Will Schustrick a few weeks ago and talking with him a little bit and catching up with Avery Jenkins, we're seeing a lot of our players doing both clinics as well as doing some instructional things. Where are you on that spectrum? Do you enjoy helping and teaching others, or are you someone that's not as concerned about that stuff when you're on the road? What are those things that you like? Well, you're a teacher, so.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely, I'm all about giving back to anyone who wants to get better at disc golf. And, I'm most comfortable teaching and about putting because I feel like I'm, most comfortable with that. But anyways, just the idea of doing clinics and giving back whenever I have the opportunity, I'm all about it. Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's one thing that we've seen some of the national tour clinics. I think we just spoke with the guys over at Kids First. Over at Kids Disc Golf.
Wow, you can't not say it.
I can't not say it. But seeing that they're going to be doing these meet and greets and having these opportunities to help shape and mold. If there's a 12 or 15-year-old Lisa out there watching right now, what would be your advice to her right now?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a great question. Just a lot of positive kind of like, just you can do this, go for it, and, just don't give up. If you really love it, just keep pushing for it. And, disc golf is it's a tough sport, it's, there's just room for a lot of growth, and there's a lot of places to start. You have to start somewhere, but just getting out there and enjoying it and just loving it. That's kind of where it all started for a lot of us, is just loving the flight of the disc out in the park, and just keep out. You have to love what you do. So if what's the point if you don't love it? So just keep doing what you love.
Good call. I can appreciate that. I had another question along those lines, and I forgot what it was.
You have yourself a Tour Series disc, is that correct?
Yes. So now that I'm on, I've been promoted this year to Team Star. So that's one of the cool things that's going to be happening for me this year, is getting my own Tour Series disc that'll be sold on the actual disc golf website for the Innova Pro Store.
Okay, and so people can go out there. It's the Lisa Fajkus Star Shrike, and it's out there and available right now. We've seen a number of.
There's a few locations that have it.
So that was from last year. You're talking about.
Oh, it is. Okay.
I'm looking at the 2017 Star Shrike is out on DGU Store, but the Innova Factory Store does not have the Lisa Fajkus ones yet. So. We are
correct. So those are coming out. Those are probably within the next month or two, give or take. But those are going to be the actual Tour Series disc, and it's going to be a special blend plastic that I was able to select, and a special disc that I was able to, tell them how I want it a certain way, and I'm excited for that to come out.
All right. So. 2017 here, we just talked actually about the Worlds expanding to more rounds, but in 2017 at the World Championship specifically, saw you take third place, a great week out there. What is it? What do you need for that competitive edge to get past, you know, some of those that we usually see on the top, a Paige or a Katrina. In that case, you bested Katrina. She took fourth. But what does it take you to get you to that next level to get past them on any given weekend?
You know, any given weekend, there's a handful or more girls that, you know, we all have the skill to win, just like in the men's division. You know, we're all like really, you know, high level disc golfers. So the thing that just the consistency will put you over the edge. But for me is I'm trying to grow with my power shots. You know, when I'm trying to be the best and I'm competing against Paige and Kat and Val and these girls, you have to throw far. And it's not that I don't throw far, but I can get better at that. So just working on that, and I don't know, just trying to. I'm just happy to be competitive with the girls. It's also going to take just being really clean off the tee box. I think for me, that's why I'm working on that. You know, that's a focus of mine. Playing really smart mentally, lining up your shot before you shoot it, just going through all those check marks in your head. So I try to be a really smart player mentally, and then also being really sharp on the putting green. Just if I can, you know, be my best putter, I think I'm really hard to beat. And if I can combine that with some really good drives, I really think I have every shot. I mean, not every shot, but I have a lot. I have a well-rounded game, I feel like, but there's so much for me to get better on. I have so much to learn still.
Well, I think it's fair to say, as you were just kind of alluding to, I feel like you do have all of the skills out there. It's just a matter of on that weekend having every one of those consistently dialed in, because you need to in order to get past a Paige or a Katrina or a Val on any given weekend. It feels like as long as you have those dialed in, because they're there, it's just a matter of, you know, with those other women, you have to be on point every hole, all 54 or 72 for a weekend.
And certain courses play to certain players more than others. You know, if you have a bomber open course, it will play more than a Jen Allen than me. If you have more of a tight technical course, I might, you know, my game might perform better naturally out there, just with how my game is compared to a bomber, you know, someone who's just known for their strength. But yeah, I mean, so that goes into consideration as well, slightly, but we're all throwing from the same tee box, so we all have the same opportunity to score low. So. All
right, and we're not going to get into another tee box conversation. We've had a few of those the last few weekends.
But we can, though. I mean,
well, I guess I'll kind of segue a little differently along those same lines, though. Is, you know, we're talking about potentially the Women's Symposium coming up. We're talking about the Women's Global event here in 2018, the return of that every other year. So my bigger question to you would be, though, what do you feel like personally? What do you feel like we need to grow the women's side of the game? You know, we're talking about this 5 to 6 to 8% participation rate on the women's side, as opposed to the obviously the 92% on the men's side. What do you feel like we're missing out on? And that could be us in media, or it could be tournaments, or it could be any other reason. What are we missing that the game's not growing bigger for the women's side?
That's I guess that's the $1 million question. You know, I don't know why there's not more women. I just, you know, just being small and just disc golf still in its infancy. So the best answer I can think of is just like more time is needed, I feel like, for the growth to happen. I mean, I feel like we're really pushing it. And we're really like the TDs, and they do a great job, like accommodating and making women feel welcome, I feel like. So the door is open, and we're waiting for the women to, I feel like, come in a little bit. Just more of the same, more clinics. What I love to see people who want to get better and showing up to these clinics, especially women, because you don't see that sometimes. The competitive drive is not there as much for women as for men. Just in this sport yet, and I don't know like what the best way to grow that is besides homegrown kind of grassroots, local like women's clubs, women's only meetups, tournaments, minis, things like that, and we're seeing a lot more of that now. So it's happening. It's just really slow, and I'm looking forward to seeing more women hopefully pop up there here and there on tour, and the more the merrier, and welcome all the new women who come out. Yeah.
Okay. No, I can see what you're saying, because there are a lot of people working really hard to help that growth and foster it, but it just doesn't feel like the output is equaling the results that we're looking for. It's not yielding the results that we're looking for. And maybe your answer is right somewhere where you just say time. Time will continue to hopefully bridge that gap a little bit, and we'll see if we can hopefully be more inviting and get more women to come in.
I'd like to see more, like you had mentioned, more clinics geared towards women at some of our pro tour and national tour events to try to bring in some of the local women just for women-specific clinics. I know we're doing a lot. We just talked about things for juniors, but I see the same type of expanse could happen for the FPO side, or not even FPO, but the women's side as well.
All right, so we will then touch on it quickly. How do you feel about tee boxes? I know there's been a lot of conversation with the Pro Tour. You're by no means are you a short arm at all. You've got great distance. You say you'd love to increase it. I think that's fair that everybody would love to a little bit, but no one would ever say, oh, Lisa doesn't throw far. I don't think anyone would say that. How do you feel about that whole conversation? And I'll say trying to make the golf a little bit more golf-like in terms of strategy, more so than just having length, or where do you stand on that conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I get the argument where, if for a girl it might be a par 3 or par 4, and the guy's a par 3. Just keeping it short. I mean, I'm a fan of, I guess, old school. I like kind of how it is. I don't agree with the shorter tee boxes. I'm not offended by them, but I just think that we're playing pro disc golf, even though we're women. I think we can handle it. It's just unfortunate, like the numbers aren't there, that there aren't more women, of course, in the field. But I don't think that making the tee box shorter is going to, I guess, make more women play open. We'll see, though. If it does, that's totally fine. I don't know. I just feel like it's a kind of unneeded. I don't know how to say it. I'm not for it, I guess.
Okay.
But
I love the
candor.
I don't think I'm a long arm thrower, but like you said, I'm not a short arm thrower. I don't know. I agree with it. I don't know.
Okay. No, and that's exactly why we were wondering. It's interesting to see, as we have a whole, just this entire mixture and this wide response of women at various skill levels, from the uppermost level and down, as to everyone's different response to their mentality and their philosophy on just that, the shorter tees. And I always hate saying just shorter tees. To me, it's more about the concept of making the hole a little bit play more. I use the term golf-like, but
yeah, okay.
You know what I mean. There is an element of boredom that I think can set in for a large variety of players and or spectators.
Okay.
If the golf isn't tailored to common distances and throws that the women are making, I guess that's how I would summarize that. But I love hearing your opinion on it. It's interesting. Before you mentioned Jen Allen being a long thrower, you being from Texas, where it's not exactly, no one would say, oh, they don't throw long shots in Texas. Do you feel like maybe some of your regionality helps shape and mold that opinion? as opposed to if you were maybe in some okay.
Yeah, being from Texas, I come from like big long courses, and that's my background. I mean, like Old Settlers Park, that's Round Rock. That's the first basket I've ever seen when I was like a youngster. But and yeah, I'm just used to those big open courses, you know, from Texas. So I'm kind of a fan of that style. And you know, I just feel like it's fair. We're all throwing from the same tee box, and you know, but I understand your argument too about shaping the shots, and I'm all for that. I just, you know, looking forward, I feel like disc golf will be kind of going that way eventually, with having, you know, women's only events, masters only events, you know, and everything separating. So I can see that kind of happening in the future, where women, you know, specific kind of, you know, shots are created. But at the same time, I hate, like Jen would, I think said, putting a ceiling on the women and kind of capping them, saying like, you know, for the Vista course, or the saying like hole 18, I think it was, you know, we, instead of throwing over the water, I think we're throwing shorter, and I don't know. I'm just see that's just a disappointment to me, not being able to play the original course with the challenges. However, I'm open to the shorter boxes and the new things. I feel like honestly, it's not a disadvantage for me to throw shorter boxes, but I just think it's unneeded. It's unnecessary, in my opinion.
No, I'm good with that. I love hearing it. It's I think we will continue to grow, and I think Steve will try things. I think other events will try things, and we could be here. We could, you know,
in
fast
2 years.
forward.
Yeah, in 2 years we could be here and say, all right, we've gotten rid of all the shorter tees. We're back to the original tees, and
the women have longer tees.
Yeah, let's put the women on some longer tees. No, definitely. I think that everybody has a valid opinion, and we can't. Yeah. We don't grow if we don't try different things. So obviously everyone has an opinion, and we'll find out in a few years. There's no way to do it unless we try.
Well, and maybe to further that point, for the last 30-ish years, we see 5 to 8% participation on the women's side. If we see this massive jump, I'm not saying it would be directly attributed to this concept, but I don't feel like we have anything to lose either by trying something. And if this did somehow help a spike in some form of participation, that might be, you know, just one of the metrics that we say, okay, well then, you know, then it proved to be positive, or it may not. All right, so one of the final questions I'll ask you is, here in 2018, we're assuming you're going to, like you just said, 25, 30-ish events probably, like we've seen the last few years. Is there one swing? I hate to ask one event. Is there a swing or a section of the tour that you really that you're amped up for? Super excited about, or, you know, the one that's like, oh, I can't wait till that time of year, you know, for this particular swing.
I've got a really busy tour schedule. It's going all the way through October. It's starting next weekend. Really looking for 34 events actually on my schedule, so quite a lot is going on. I'm really looking forward to the middle swing. It's like those summer months, and kind of like the Beaver State Fling, and then right after that, I'm actually going up to Canada, then down to Utah, and all, you know, just being in kind of the Pacific Northwest area. Looking forward to that. But honestly, that's just one thing I'm looking forward to, because there's, you know, so much to look forward to. I mean, being out east, being out west, everything is really exciting. So
it is. I know, and I know that's kind of a tough question, because even if I was asked the same question, I think, you know what, there's these pockets and these swings throughout the year that are really amazing and exciting. And then I think, you know what? No, like 2 months later, it's awesome there, and 2 months after that, it's awesome. You know, like it's all really good. So it's tough to pick any one. But
I know.
That Beaver State swing area and the timeout in that side of the country, and being at a place like Milo, I think everybody has to experience it. And once you've been there, you immediately put that way up on your list of destinations. It's easy to do. It's just such a majestic place.
it'll only be my second time going there this current year. So I'm really forward to just getting back out there and not being so overwhelmed by like the majestic beauty everywhere. And so yeah, just getting a little bit more into the course and being more familiar with the surroundings. Yeah.
You're becoming a wily old veteran there, and looking forward to it. All right, Lisa, any parting shots? We would love to give you the time if you want to, again, thank or recognize any supporters or sponsors.
Talk about where our listeners can follow you on whatever social media or how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah, just a shout out to my sponsors. I got 2 sponsors right now, of course, Innova Disc Golf, and then just picked up Pound Disc Golf bags. And I'm on Instagram. I'm pretty bad at, I think it's just Lisa32654. Check me out on Instagram, and then Facebook. I don't know, I have like a Facebook page with my like disc golf, Lisa Fajkus disc golf athlete disc golf page or something like that. But yeah, a little bit of social media. So more to come this year. A lot of exciting things coming this year.
Awesome.
And I'm sure on that social media you'll let everyone know when they can get a hold of your new 2018 Shrikes.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's gonna go on blast when that comes out. Look out for that. Yeah, those are gonna be on the Innova Factory store for sale, and again, there's gonna be a special run. I wish I can't give you all the details right now, but it's going to be super sweet. It's going to be special.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Lisa. Well, again, we want to thank you for giving us the time. We're looking forward to seeing more of you throughout the season. I have a feeling you'll be mixed into plenty of that women's coverage, and then we'll certainly have to have you back on the shows more often throughout the season and catch up with you. And I'm sure I'll see you quite a few weekends all around the country. So thank you for the time. Thank you for joining us. And we'll look forward. We'll probably run into you in a couple of weeks. We'll see you out at the Memorial.
For sure, yeah. I'll see you there. Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Johnny. It's good talking to you guys, and thanks for watching.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Oh,
all right. Bye-bye. All right. Lisa Fajkus joining us, and Johnny was right earlier. We had a conversation.
Oh, it was. We can talk about the dumb luck. How I was right.
The dumb luck. Yes. We were just talking about where Lisa, was going to be calling in from from tonight, and I said, "Oh, well, she'll be, she's in Texas." I just assumed she was home, or in her home base or home area, and you said, "No, I thought she was from Cali," and then tonight she clarified and said, "Well, I'm in California,
but she's from Texas." So
either way, we're glad she could join us again. Long overdue. I know some of our very loyal fans and listeners out there have been hounding us to have her, and clearly well overdue. David Manzo with the super chat. Thank you so much, David Manzo, with a ridiculous $50 super chat tonight.
We'll have Lisa on every week if we're going to get a $50 from David. So.
But seriously, thank you so much to David. For any of those who are wondering what that is, on the bottom during the live chat on YouTube, there's a little smiley sign and a little dollar sign. And when you click on that dollar sign and put something in there, a smiley sign goes up in our hearts. But what that is a super chat feature, and anything you type in there becomes big and bold, and we see it. And in this case, David earlier submitted a massive super chat. We appreciate that. That goes right into the coffers to help with all of our expenses for the show and beyond. So thank you for everything. Earlier tonight, we had the giveaway for the kids' disc golf. Matt or U-Disc won that. A little later in the show, of course, for our Patreon supporters, we should have a giveaway. And I think we may have a Marksman, Winter Marksman League giveaway a little later on in the show yet. We're also going to be catching up with Paul Ulibarri shortly. As I said, he's still out in the Arizona area, and I think his plans for the tour are going to be stepping up a notch or two. He may finally have to leave his little home turf of Arizona here soon. But I think we're going to catch up with him in a little while. So I was trying to think if there's anything else in the news that was going on. We talked about the Worlds going to 5 days, but also I think it was just announced maybe today that I think I saw the Disc Golf Pro Tour is returning to Florida.
Correct.
For the Tour Championships.
The Tour Championships is going to be in Jacksonville again.
New World Disc Golf.
At the New World Disc Golf. Last year, I know they had I'll say some issues with the course due to the hurricane that had hit just like a month prior. So they weren't, well, the event went without a hitch. They weren't exactly ecstatic about the condition of the course. They felt that it could be a better environment for our players. So I think they're looking forward to showcasing their premier course, assuming another hurricane doesn't hit anytime within the previous month or so. So yes, the Jacksonville, city of Jacksonville will get the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I believe that's going to be the week after the final NT, which is a week after the USDGC, just
which
like
is a week
last year.
after something else probably really big. So it's going to be again a crazy
month.
You know, with November, with September, technically, you know, the beginning of September, hosting the World Championships, and then the couple of events that follow that, and then moving into the national tour season wrapping up, and the pro tour season wrapping up again, and the USDGC, that major sprinkled in there. It's going to be a crazy
October.
And September, October again, maybe even a little more jam-packed than last
We need to come
year.
up with something, I think, like some championship October, something that's not used for baseball, which is when they tend to have their championship, their World Series. And I think we're going to hear it again this year that players, and we heard it last year, are
tired,
burnt
out,
exhausted. I hate to say those words because it's. I think for the past couple of years, USDGC has been the finale. Like, woo, I'm done. And there's no reason.
It just was.
It's just that's the way it was.
Kind of almost arbitrary.
And this past year having that, I think the players just had that mentality like, oh, finally done with that major. Let's call it a year. But that's not the case anymore. And I think they're going to have to change their thought process. They're going to have to change their attitude and mentality in order to get past that. If they care about the Pro Tour finale, if they care about the NT finale, because USDGC isn't going to be the final stop anymore. They're going to have to push themselves to get ready for those final tour events if they care.
And it'll be interesting to see who's got gas in the tank, who literally and figuratively maybe, as that tour starts to wind down, how your year's gone, how injuries have gone.
I'm betting on AJ
overall,
with the hybrid.
And there you go, with the overall exhaustion. So there's a lot of things to look at and consider. And I'll say, to maybe further your point, this year knowing they maybe could be a little bit more prepared or anticipating it. I mean, last year it was on the schedule and it happened. But this year I'm just saying, like, if it becomes more of the norm, then maybe there's not any, maybe they just mentally and physically prepare themselves a little differently. Somehow stretch that longevity.
I know I said it before. I'd like to see a week break after USDGC and then get into those. But ultimately, suck it up. There's more golf to play. I'm sorry, your event, your season isn't done after USDGC, which is a grueling 4-round event on one of the tougher, mentally challenging courses. You got to keep playing, and if you
want that money,
if you don't, it's going to show.
It will. So speaking of our show, I guess my question would be, logistically, we're sitting at just short of 2 hours. Do we dare cut a regular show and have Yuli join us for an after show? Does that make sense? Dare I say we have a shorter regular show?
I'm good with that.
It'd be something a little different. We'll keep it at an hour and 45 minutes for a shorter.
In the after show, we'll talk about the Marksman League. We'll talk with Yuli. We'll talk about anything we want then.
Yeah, all sorts of craziness. We're going to have Yuli. I think he's out there. Thankfully, somebody just literally moments ago came onto my page, told me that I called Yuli Macbeth. Again, literally moments ago. So, yeah. Love it. All right, guys. We do appreciate it. We're going to cut things for our regular show. This will make the after show that much more valuable because we'll have Yuli and we'll have lots of things to still discuss there that actually might be disc golf related, along with some things that aren't. So I would like to thank both Matt and Josh Graham over at Kids Disc Golf. You guys are doing great things. Keep up the tremendous amount of work and energies and efforts that you're putting forward. As we know, I think that's one of the best possible ways to grow the sport. Certainly have our backing and support over here at SmashBox. So keep doing what you're doing. Also like to thank Lisa Fajkus for joining us. Love seeing her out on the tour for the last couple years. we're looking forward to many years to come as she's going to be taking on the 2018 season. I think she's ready to go, and she's no longer that breakout star. She's elevated herself onto another level, and I think she's here to stay. So we're excited to see that. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, stick around for the after show. We'll see you then. This has been podcast 181. We'll see you when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SmashBoxxTV podcast 181 after show.
Thanks, Marcus Burks.
Marcus Burke, Super Chatter here on our live feed on Tuesday night. Thank you guys for joining us. And another shout out to Dave Manzo. We appreciate it, my friend. Awesome. For
Marcus Burks just missed the credits.
For the regular show.
For the regular show. We'll get you in the after show credits. Though,
all right, buddy. We do appreciate it. So tonight, here on the after show, we will be having Paul Ulibarri join us in just a few moments, assuming the rider in his contract allows it. He, in fact, said, "I'm not sure I'm after show material." I said, "Oh, you are. You are." And really, Yuli, come on now. It's a compliment that we're going to kick off the after show, have you join us right away, rather than maybe buried way late at the end of the regular show. So it's really, that's a compliment if you're picking up my winking here on screen. All right. Looks like he might be ready to go. I think he's going to be coming in from Arizona, maybe one of those mountains or something. And like that, we'll welcome to the show, Paul Ulibarri. How we doing tonight, buddy?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. You're not sick of seeing this schmuck yet? It's been like 6 weeks in a row. He keeps coming to where you live.
I miss him, man. I miss him. He needs to come back.
Aw.
He does keep people warm at night.
I do. I'm a cuddler. So, Yuli, another weekend, another tournament for you. I'll be honest. I did not see the results. I saw someone make something of a post. So I just figured, hey, let's leave it completely up to you to kind of break down where were you playing and give us the story.
Yeah, I actually played a small C tier in Lake Havasu, Arizona, on a new course they're designing out there. We had a good field. Kevin Jones, Anthony Barella, kind of the same guys that were at the Maricopa Open, and then just like the Maricopa Open, Kevin Jones took it down.
Really? Now, did he do it off of the second card, or was he a little more, we'll say, traditional and won off the first card?
He won off the first card, but I actually had a 4-stroke lead going into the final round, and he ended up winning by 3. So he shot a really great final round.
Kevin Jones!
Where do you?
Yeah.
What is this kid doing?
What do you think? Like at the end of the year, when we say Kevin Jones, what do you think is going to be the thing we talk about the most?
That's something that could be up for debate. I mean, the kid's playing great right now, and he has all the talent in the world. I mean, it's up to him, really, how much time he wants to put in, how much he wants to play. You know, I wouldn't be able to answer that question for him. From what I see, I mean, he has all the potential in the world to be a top 10 player in the world by the end of this season.
Yeah, but he's really a big jerk, and he's got a horrible attitude, right?
No, the kid's, world-class player, and he's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Super humble, and along with the confidence and everything, he really has the whole package. So the sky's the limit for that kid.
It is. It is really exciting. Of course, we had the Pro Discus gentleman on here last week, talked a little bit about him and all the potential that he has, and then sticking with Pro Discus, being sponsored by them, and he says he's excited to be representing them. They were the first ones to give him a shot, and everyone should love that loyalty that he's giving them, and it should be really exciting to see what he does this year. He's talking about playing a lot of golf, and he somehow is getting past you. So give us the difference maker. I can do the math, and I know the difference was 7 strokes, but what was the difference maker in terms of the play out there for you versus him in that final round?
No, I played great. I mean, the first round I shot a 16 under on 18 holes, which was one of my better rounds I've played in a long time. I think it was like 1081 rated, so I'm not like a big ratings guy, but to give you a reference, like I beat the field by quite a bit, and I was playing well. I was playing well into the second round as well. When two people are playing good, it comes down to, sometimes who gets the better breaks and who, makes the better shots down the stretch of the tournament, and he just did. He had a few things go his way, and I didn't, and he was playing well enough to where when you're a great player like that and you have things going your way, there's no stopping you. So it was just his weekend. I played good. I played good enough to win. I just got beat.
And I was just going to ask, it sounds like, and you're the first one of all of our players, I feel like, out there, you're one of the first people to say, like, hey, I can play well, but somebody beat me today, and that says a lot about their game, and it says a lot about how it actually went down. So what is next for you? What are we looking at? Another week?
I'm actually going home this weekend to visit my family, and I'm going to be playing an ice bowl. Like I said, I'm going to try to play as much locally as possible this year, and so I'm going to go up, hang out with my family. I think this will be like my 12th straight year playing this ice bowl, so it's like kind of a tradition for me. So yeah, I'm excited to do that. It is a C tier as well, so if people want to check out the results of an ice bowl, yeah, I guess pdga.com, go check it out.
They'll be glued to it. I even said it in the commentary that I did for the Maricopa Meadows videos. I said, all right, here comes a step putt or a jump putt, or I think a step putt from Yuli, and I know all of you guys can start arguing about if it's a foot fault or not. And I was kind of joking, but lo and behold, there's a dozen comments out there. Everybody's screaming about your step putting.
Sure.
I can't say I can't go to bat for you every time. It just gets tiring and exhausting for me. It's got to be 10 times worse for you. How can you address it? Can you talk about it? What do you say to that?
Sure. I mean, the rule is up for debate in my opinion. I think that my interpretation of the rule is really different from a lot of people's, and here's why. I don't think people actually know what the rule says. Okay? I really don't. The rule actually states that when you're putting outside the circle or throwing for that matter, your supporting point has to be behind your lie. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's what it says. You have to have a supporting point behind your lie. And if a supporting point is beyond your lie, that's when it's a foot fault. So even if my foot were to touch the ground, that's not supporting my weight. That's not my supporting point. My supporting point is still by my mini. Therefore, I'm not foot faulting. Like, it's pretty easy to me. Just like if I were to jump putt or somebody else were to jump putt forward and they hit like a little thing of grass. That's not their supporting point. That's not a foot fault.
Okay.
And so I think when you actually look at the definition, there is a gray area, but that gray area is 100% in a step putter's favor. Mm-hmm. And I don't think people actually read the rule and understand it that way. I think they just automatically think that if your foot touches something in front of your lie, it's a foot fault. Well, that's not the definition of the rule.
Well, and I think you're exactly right that it's easy for people to see something and it just looks so weird to them. It looks foreign to them. They just immediately, whether they know the rule or not or have ever touched the rule book, think, oh, That just looks weird. I don't like it. That you're breaking a rule. And I think, fair enough. I think that's honestly a lot of people's just initial reaction. They think, well, I don't do that. It looks weird when he does it. He's got to be breaking a rule there somewhere. And
I
think
so many funny messages, man.
I can't imagine what you get.
One of the funniest ones was this one happened recently. Somebody messaged me and they said, I don't know why you do that stupid putt. You don't even make that video of him. Oh my God. I was just sitting there laughing. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm a bad putter. I don't know what you want from me.
Well, yeah.
Well, the person was like P. Macbeth, which was strange.
You don't even make that video of him.
Yeah.
And then he went on to in another message say, I looked at your stats and you're about 25 to 30% outside the circle with this silly putt. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, that's like one or two around. That's actually pretty good, man.
Yeah.
I'll take those.
That might have been the same person that posted it directly on the comments saying he only makes like 25% of those. I don't know why he does it. I think I'm thinking 25% outside the circle. It seems good to me. I'm
sorry, I'm not Ricky Wysocki. I don't make it every single time.
You're not at like 90%
outside the circle.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about it. How many times are you actually outside the circle?
92 feet at major championships. I'll try harder next time. I explain it a lot like this. Like, let's compare like Vince Carter to Steph Curry. Like, Steph Curry's the greatest three-point shooter probably ever of all time. Do you think that Vince Carter's comparing his broke jump shot to Steph Curry? No. Do you think he would really like to make more of them? Yes, absolutely. But he's not Steph Curry. He doesn't make it from every single. But he's into the NBA. He's still a professional basketball
I was going to
player.
say, easy there, young man. Vince Carter was a beast back in the day. I saw you on social media saying
I'm sure his percentage is really close to Steph Curry.
Oh, not for 3-pointers. I saw you saying how sad it was to see Dirk kind of losing a step, and yeah, I mean, it's people get old, Yuli. People get old.
I'm getting old, man.
You are. All right, so just to be clear,
dude, I'm only 25% outside the circle these days. Like,
I do want to read it because it's funny you talked about people, reading or not or understanding the rule. I'm in the official rules of disc golf, found of course on pdj.com, and 802.07 stance. And here's what it says: A, the lie. If the lie has been marked by a marker disc, then when the disc is released, the player must, 1, have at least one supporting point that is in contact with the lie, and 2, have no supporting point closer to the target than the rear edge of the marker disc, and 3, have all supporting points in bounds. So
pretty cut and dry, isn't it?
You very much talk about supporting points, and when you have, in your case, your right foot is behind the mini.
I mean, I think that's the problem. Is if you want to get nitty gritty on this, it's the term supporting point. We've seen if your mini is underneath of a pine tree, you throw a disc and it slides under a pine tree. You're straddling into that pine tree, but all your weight is on, let's just say, your left leg, but your toe is behind the mini. We all know that your toe isn't really a supporting point. You're not supporting yourself on that toe.
You're behind. You're still behind.
But you're still behind your mini.
See, that wouldn't be a footfall because you're behind your lie.
Yep. I mean, I just.
Well, at any rate, so I figured I'd read again. That's if somebody wants to read for themselves, 802.07 stance. Mm-hmm. That would be one place to go reference it and take a look at it for yourself. A few years ago, I think this is already a few years ago. We're getting old here. Dana had talked about, I think it was on his way out to probably the Memorial, and he's like, on the plane ride, I sat and read the rule book cover to cover. And I'm going to say, I think that's great. This is a great time of year for it. It's probably cold wherever you are, or going to be cold. Actually read the rule book. And this is aside from your situation here, just read it, because we talk about it almost every week. There's a rule that's not a rule. or there's, all these fictitious things people either make up or interpret their own way. Go out and read the rule book. It seriously will take you an hour to read it cover to cover. It's like this thin.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
read it. You'd be surprised
really
because
small.
I swear to every one of you listening right now, you read that rule book cover to cover, read the competition manual for funsies, read it all, and I swear at one point you will put the book down, you will sigh, and you go, huh. Because you will read something that you either you totally didn't think was a rule or is a rule or whatever. You will surprise yourself because you'll think, well, wait a minute. But Joe just last week during our mini told me I couldn't do this, this, and this. It says right here I can totally do that. I swear every single listener we have will find one thing in that rule book that'll be like, huh. And they'll make them think about it. So there's my...
Yeah. I mean, you never see me argue about it, or I just let it go constantly, and I hear it every single time I've ever done it. At big tournaments, people from the crowd say, "Oh, foot fault, this, that, and the other thing," and it just blows my mind. Like, when you read the rule, it's pretty cut and dry. Supporting point. End of story. Supporting point. We all know what a supporting point is, right? Where your balance is. Correct?
Yeah.
What's carrying your weight of your body? That's your supporting point.
Yeah.
John?
When you...
I'm going to read the rules again.
It's funny to hear you say it so much like that, because I've always thought, yeah, you know what? His foot probably does like graze a little bit of grass, or maybe he's putting uphill. Is he accounting for that? Or, how much? What if the grass is really high?
Admit it. My foot definitely touches sometimes, but under the law of the rule, I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's a gray area, like.
Okay, so let me follow it up. You say gray area. You have your interpretation.
Yep.
What do you say to anyone? I'll hold you to this a little. What do you say to anyone that says, "Well, I feel like he's like cheating or trying to cheat the spirit of the rule, or he's playing in that gray area on purpose, and for that reason I don't like it."
Because if you think about it, you could make the argument that any point that touches the ground is a supporting point.
You're saying someone could make that
Someone
argument,
could make the argument that...
Which Yuli's not saying, correct?
Exactly. That almost virtually any time you're touching the ground, it's a supporting point. I mean,
someone could make that
means
argument.
like if you were to putt in like tall grass and your stroke of your hand touches the grass in front of you, then guess what? That would be considered a falling putt.
Someone could make the argument, like Rob Ryan.
Yes,
let's not pick on one guy.
I'm thinking that mine's possibly a little bit more logical.
I know.
We just love to pick on Rob here.
My favorite thing to do. I saw him make his stupid spin putt argument the other day again. He literally brought it up 2 days ago. I was like, every putt's a spin putt. I'm like, shut up. I just wanted to say, shut up. So
Harsh.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and honestly, I hate to say it, but I don't think that the way that other people jump putt is in any way legal, because when they release their disc, they absolutely have to be off the ground. Think about like a jump shot in the NBA. You don't shoot a basketball and then release it before you're in the air.
Yeah, but you could.
It doesn't make any sense.
You're right for a jump shot, but you could if you're training your body for a different style of shot. I think it could happen.
It's as close as mine. I promise you that.
I'm not arguing that. I agree. I completely agree that we've seen so many people, which is why I personally have always said I think the rule wording should be changed. But
so you're directly, we'll say, saying that again, 802.07 of the PDGA rulebook A.1 says have at least one supporting point that is in contact with the lie. So what you're saying is when people are jump putting, they have no supporting point that is in contact with the lie. I think he's just flipped the script, as the kids say.
I don't think no kids have said that
All
in
right,
20 years
ago they did. That is a very legitimate way of looking at it, in that if you want to slow down the footage, so to speak, and look at it, you lunge and then you release. I'm sorry. That's what jump putters do, is they lunge and they release. And that's to your point that when you shoot a jump shot, you jump up, then you release the basketball. So
you're gaining momentum forward to the fingertips, and then you release the disc at the very, very point of the jump.
Well, and Brian G is on the board and says, what about people who throw and both feet are off the ground? That's exactly what we're saying, Brian, is that the rule states have at least one supporting point that is in contact with the lie. And Yuli is directly saying that a lot of our jump putters may be violating that, because they're in theory jumping, have no supporting point, and then are releasing the disc well in the air. And
we've heard that argument before on videos.
Correct. So, all right. Well, very interesting. Another, and you were there, so this is why I think it's very appropriate to bring it up. A hot topic that I asked about in the videos. I don't know if you watched either of the coverage of the video, but I had asked about hanging baskets. And I know Johnny has a elevated and hanging baskets. I know that's a whole conversation, but
there's no supporting point to the ground with a basket. If they're foot faulting, that basket was foot faulting.
I agree with Yuli. That is a definite foot fault for the basket.
It was, but we think specifically to hole 2, and I apologize if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about. Hole 2 at Maricopa had a basket completely suspended from a tree branch. It was hanging there. There was no pole. There was no tether. It was completely suspended by a tree branch, and it was just hanging there.
What tier was Maricopa?
B tier. And it was suspended there. I guess I'd ask you, any input on that? Did you have any strong feelings one way or another?
I don't mind raised baskets, but I'm not a big fan of hanging baskets because of the movement.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. I mean, if I've seen hanging baskets with like a string that goes down into the ground, which kind of makes it to where it's tougher to move. Right, it stabilizes it a little bit. So I don't mind those, but I really didn't think much of it. I noticed that it was a 1-chain basket, and that was something that I didn't like.
I totally agree with that. Real quick, I'll just say I'm okay with that basket or the concept there. It was relatively protected. Maybe it was a little too protected. But my one takeaway, if I had a criticism there, would be, if you're going to hang it, make sure it's as good or better than any of the other baskets out on the course.
Right.
I felt like that basket specifically was a little dilapidated, if I'm going to use a big word here tonight. I think that was the one problem that I didn't like about that basket. Go on.
I was going to say, I don't feel bad saying this, but B tiers are almost like the new C tier. Like, if you want to have a hanging basket in a B tier event, I kind of overlook it. Like, it's not that big of a deal to me. I would never want to see a hanging...
I don't even think... I disagree. I don't even think tiers really matter, period, anymore. Because there are pro tours that are B tiers, there are A tiers that are C tiers, there are majors that I would rather play A tier. So.
You're right. I completely agree with you as far as that, but I will say that there is still an expected level of professionalism depending on the tier. And to me, because of pro tours, because of our the world tour, the majors, to me, B tier just really almost seems like the lowest level of an event. And I know there's C tiers and there's X tiers, but to me, a B tier
you're just getting spoiled.
We are, and that's you're 100% right. But to me, a B tier, I kind of feel like you can get away with almost anything in a B tier these days. If like a hanging basket, sure, whatever. But would I want to see that in A tier or a pro tour or an NT or a major? Never. Never.
But what's the difference between a hanging basket and an elevated one on the pro tour?
No.
What's the difference?
No.
What's the difference?
There's a big difference. The fact that if it's hanging, I mean, in general, you know my stance on elevated baskets in general. I'm not a big fan of them. I think they add almost nothing to, other than a silly punishment. I really hate elevated baskets, and I think hanging baskets are fun and they're fine for a specific type of an event, they look stupid. I would not want to show that to somebody like, oh yeah, here's 17 holes. We got this one though, man. That one's hanging up in a tree 12 feet. And you're like, oh, that's weird. That's what you do?
Cool.
Yeah, like
cool basket, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Here we tonight we've got 6 or 7 NBA games going on. This one, look at that one side of the basket. It's like 17 feet high. Woohoo! To me, it makes no sense.
But I will say there is not a fair comparison between 2 NBA regulated baskets that are identical in every stadium across the country at every single NBA game versus the undulation and everything that we have. We already are a very different.
The very next golf event, we have 17.
One thing's for sure.
You have 17 holes except for the 18th hole where the cup is a foot wide. Woo!
If disc golf was big enough to where the biggest tournaments, like you're saying, had the greatest pieces of property ever, to where you didn't need a raised basket and you could put it on a hillside with the greenest grass ever, sure, then I could agree with you a little bit. But at this point, I 100% agree with raised baskets because it does bring an extra element to an already pretty easy game.
Here, it's kind of funny because if you took a raised, to me, one of the issues that I have with a raised basket is I don't like the fact that it's a different elevation from the ground. Let's just take hole 3 at Fountain Hills. Hole 3 at Fountain Hills, where it's up like an extra foot or 2 feet.
2 feet.
2 feet. We'll say.
Sure. Yep.
If you put just a tiny mound under that, I'm 100% fine with that. I know it sounds silly, but
so it's the aesthetics.
It's partially the aesthetics.
I do think there should be a regulated height. I don't think you could have a 9-foot basket up there, but I do agree with it being 3-4 feet higher off the ground. I have no problem with that, but it should be regulated. It shouldn't be like.
See, I think there should be a regulation from the bottom of the basket to the ground. So you want to build up a mound, you want to build up a small wall like at USDGC and have the base where it is, but from the bottom of the basket to the ground, it to me should be regulated.
Then you're
just like the size.
I don't like that because then you're making like crazy ground play to where you can't even throw a shot within 10 feet, and if you do, then you hit the like at the USDGC you hit them and then you roll away and all kinds of stuff.
I completely agree because there's a hole here at that I don't. Again, I'm playing both sides of the fence here because there's a hole here in Wisconsin at Rolling Ridge where it's on a pyramid, and the steps are about, I don't know, maybe 6 inches, and it goes up 8 steps. So if you try to lay up, you hit the pyramid and you roll down, and that's just kind of like, ha, look at you, you didn't lay up good enough. And I think it's the stupidest green in Wisconsin.
Should have went for it.
Yeah, honestly, that's what it. That's what I feel like. Like, well, guess you shouldn't have laid up on that one. But to not give someone a chance, kind of to lay up, or to punish someone who lays up and then suddenly gets too close, and now they have this horrible angle at it. That's where I have a major issue. When you raise it 1 or 2, when you raise it like 2 feet,
that doesn't like it in the world.
You're right. I might be, and again, when you raise it just 2 feet, it doesn't really hurt too many people because you can still, if you lay up under it, you can still drop it in. I just have an aesthetic issue with it. I have a personal issue with it.
And Jeff Hawkins says exactly what I would have used for an example as well. Is if we'll use, since many of us know hole 3 at Fountain, it's the elevated basket that's out there, or there's hole 12, I think. But if that instead was mounted in a triangular stand of metal, but instead had an elongated hay bale. Basically, it was, let's just say a pole went 10 feet through that, but the pole was completely covered by a hay bale. So that became the mount, the stand instead. Mm-hmm. Would that appeal to you any differently?
A little bit.
Okay.
It would.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
I got it. All right. So
he just thinks you basically just think it looks silly.
I think partially it looks silly. It makes us look a
metal
little
basket
unprofessional.
that's the right height that you're used to seeing looks really cool, but a metal basket raised looks really silly. I think that anybody who's never seen it before is going to look at a basket and be like,
You're right.
That looks pretty silly, no matter the height.
I agree.
All right. Anyway, so good debate out there. Here's what I will say, though, is I did ask the question on the video. I don't know if it's 50-50. I didn't do the exact math, but it was very, very divided. That was my takeaway. It was incredibly divided about people that like raised baskets, like hanging baskets, like, as you guys are both saying, anything off the ground other than quote-unquote regulation, which there is none. Whatever the case might be, it was very divided within the comments. And I thought that was really interesting because I won't say it was 90-10 in favor either way or another. There's some people that love it and some people that really hate it. Or, as you guys have said, some people that are like, well, at a certain tier event, it's okay. Mm-hmm. Or at a for fun event or at a fun course versus a serious competition, it's got its time and place kind of thing. So my unofficial survey, those were the results that were yielded. It was very divided. But your step putt, on the other hand, not so divided.
Yeesh. Everyone hates it.
The other big divide, and I don't want to totally drive it home, but I apologize to you. I made the mistake on hole 6 out there. I said, and Macbeth taps in, and it was in fact you. And as I said, lots of people
busted,
nailed me. I apologize.
I've had people message me saying, "Hey, did you hear Terry?" I'm not lying. Did you hear Terry call you Macbeth on the video?
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, no, I didn't, but I better go check it out.
Yeah, well, that's how it went down.
Apparently it's crazy.
Anyway, as I tried to politely explain to everybody, I make plenty of mistakes. That's not my last mistake of the weekend. There'll be plenty more. So there it is. I'll just refer to him as the other Paul. You're Paul, and he's the other Paul.
Yeah,
fair enough. Some nuptials.
To him.
Yeah, I was just gonna say some nuptial on his part. Him and Hannah tied the knot and are in Miami. I did like her post. I'll follow that up real quick. She said, "We're going to Miami for our honeymoon. No, don't ask us to come play your course. We're on our honeymoon." She flat out just said right in the opening, no, we're not going to come play golf with you.
That's awesome.
And we all know it wasn't to be mean. It was just no, we're actually on a honeymoon. So he messaged me tonight and said that him and Hannah
are watching.
We know they're watching.
What else did they called me Macbeth?
No, he said that they were on. They're on their honeymoon and they're sitting right next to Anthony Rizzo and his wife. Paul knows that I'm the other Paul. Sorry, knows that I'm a Cubs fan, and he said that Anthony Rizzo and his wife were. He said sitting next to them. I don't know if they were all in a hot tub. I don't know what they were doing. He just said that they were sitting next to him, or maybe they were on a cruise or something. And I said, "Is there anything to report on from the wedding?" And he said, "Nothing really. It was beautiful, and we were enjoying our final week in Miami before the tour starts." So awesome for them. Yeah, very cool to see. Anything else new in the Yuli world that we should know about?
No. I guess I'm just a big fat cheater. So
we know how. And in a serious tone, I know you're as competitive as they get. You excel at so many of the things that you apply yourself to. You've always been very competitive. I know you can only take internet comments so far. I understand that, and you've probably gotten very thick skin throughout the years, but that's got to dig at you a little bit to read when people are just trying to flat out call you a cheater. I know as a competitor that
the people who know me and that that I play against, I didn't come on here to debate for the people on the internet who watch me. The people that I care about are the people that I play against, and I want the people that I play against, the Macbeths and Rickies and the people like that, to where when I make my putts, they know that I'm 100% within the rules as it's said. As you said, I'm competitive, but I'm also a good sport, and I would never try to gain any sort of advantage on any of them.
Now we see, maybe it's a dead horse. I was going to say we see Felberg and we see Johnny McRae also with a kind of a similar step putt. Is there? Does anybody owe Felberg? Is that you? Who was the first to manipulate or to perfect maybe the style?
No, for sure. I think Felberg was one of the first people that I saw do it, and I toured with Robbie Bratton for a long time, and he used to do it a lot, and I actually kind of picked it up from Robbie Bratton, imitating his putt. Me and my other friend Corey Sharp, and then I started making them, imitating him, and then it just kind of took over from there. So, I've been doing it for I don't know how long, since 2008 maybe, or close to it. And I've never in my entire career been called one time on a football ever. And I've played more tournaments than maybe anybody in the last 10 years.
True.
And so for people, to keep saying that, and I hear whispers even against the people that I play against, and that's the people that if you have a problem with it, come discuss it with me, and then I'll explain, hey, here's the rule book, read the rule, and then let's go play disc golf,
And speaking of playing, we saw this weekend, one of the things, because we didn't have Dana to open the regular show tonight, we didn't really talk about some other events. I knew we were going to hear from you regarding Lake Havasu, but your boy, Nico, and a couple of your good buddies, they're traveling internationally, playing. We saw Nico, it looks like it was a nail biter, took one down over in Thailand. Did you have any conversations with anyone or catch up with anyone directly? Or?
No, I haven't really talked to anybody. I think actually they're still over there. I think they're making a trip somewhere else. A few of them, like Big Germ's coming back on the 8th. I know that. But congrats to Nico, it's good to see him back in the winner's circle, and he's always, somebody that I think everybody wants to see play at a high level, and hopefully we'll be able to see him do that at the bigger tournaments this year again.
So he won is it the Swami Swine Classic? Is my pronunciation on point there, Johnny?
Yeah.
It looks like he ended up ultimately taking that down by 5 strokes over Barsby. We see Nate Perkins finish in a tie for 3rd with Jeremy Coling. And then the previous weekend winner being Philo Brathwaite. Philo finished in 5th the weekend before. He had I think he birdied all 9 of the final holes to edge out Barsby or Nico by 1, but this weekend he ended up finishing in 5th. So you've got 5 Americans finishing in the top 5 spots over there, and then of course, hold on to your shocked face. Paige Pierce moves into a 7-stroke margin of victory. Even after having kind of a rough final round by her standards.
Yeah, well, she started out with 1,021 rated round.
So that's all right.
Yeah, that
international ratings bump is
that 892 I'm sure will drop off like it never happened.
Exactly. So, and Brian Motley over on the Masters side, Glenn Olivero, good old Glenn, who I've known for many years. Yeah, he was there.
I've played with Glenn
finished
a few times.
In a tie for 2nd on the Masters side. So very cool. I know Luke Butch had reached out to me. Over there, I know he was in Thailand and seemed to be really excited about the event. Sounds like they put on a great show. Saw some of the Instagrams and Snapchats. They went to some kind of a glow concert festival thing that took place afterwards. Looked like our pros were taking part of all the international fun that they should be over there. Looked like a really good time.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked like they were having a blast, and a really great way to almost take a vacation while get ready for the new season. So
yeah, sounds like
I think in the future you'll see more and more players join in on that short tour probably.
Yeah, and I don't think you were here last week when we had a real quick touch on the fact that there were roughly 20 pros at the previous weekend, but Big Germ's 4th place finish kept him out of the cash. And so this week,
yeah, we talked about it.
Okay, we did. Okay, so this week
I saw Dana's post about his shot thingy, and I didn't know that Germ actually missed cash making the final 9, but I was laughing for a good 5 to 10 minutes, I swear.
It was brutal. Well, this week we see there was in fact 23 open players, and they paid all the way down to what was a tie for 10th for everyone getting those guys getting cash in the open field. So a little bit more traditional, we'll say, on the international side. Were there any other events of note or anything else that you know of going on this last weekend, Yuli, that we should touch on?
Big Jerv has to be the only person ever to make a final night
and then not cash. Yeah, I thought about that.
Can't, man.
That is pretty funny.
Wow, there really weren't many other big events. A bunch of C tiers, some smaller B tiers overseas.
Okay, so nothing else major to speak of.
No,
All right.
No. Next week we get the Crack Plastic Classic and a couple B tiers throughout the country.
Okay. All right, Yuli, anything else you want to share with us here tonight, pal?
I'm good, man. I'm ready for bed.
Were you happy with that Super Bowl?
I was.
Me too.
I actually was. I thought it went down pretty much like we all expected. Well, I feel like true sports fans knew it was going to be a really close game. Mm-hmm. I think when I was on the last time we had talked about it, and I said I thought it was going to be within one score either way, and it was. And yeah, the finish was amazing. Like Tom Brady's pass to Gronk, and at the end, and it's bobbling around, and everybody. I had no clue. I thought Gronk was going to catch it for sure, and I had few basketball buddies do some squares, and so I had the winning score at the end, and so my heart was definitely racing even faster as Tom threw that pass over. I'm like, oh, he's catching it for sure. Like, I can't even watch this.
Oh, yeah.
So it was awesome. Yeah, it was good. And yeah, Eagles.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? I didn't even think they'd make it out of the first round without Wentz.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, I would not have bet on them possibly making the playoffs, maybe. But then got to give it to good old Doug Peterson, former Packer. It's that many years behind Mr. Favre. Good. I was very happy to see him win. I was very happy.
And then Nick, right? Nick Foles, is that?
Yep, Nick Foles is the backup quarterback. Nick
Foles, where's he gonna go?
I think he's going to Moneytown, wherever he's going.
No, I'm gonna put money that they keep him in Philly because Carson Wentz might not be ready for the start of the year. They're gonna ride him out, I think, one more year, and then he's gonna hopefully, if he's lucky, they'll either trade him before the deadline or he'll cash in 2020. No, 2019. He'll cash in 2019. But I think they're gonna hold on to him. Unless they get a ridiculous
offer. Somebody like that where you could trade him for a lot of good players.
I think it depends on what Carson Wentz's injury looks like. They're hoping he's back by the first game.
That makes sense, yeah.
They're hoping he's back by the first game, but I don't know. Because he's super cheap. Like unless you get something really good, a second round, a first round pick for him, then maybe. And what's he gonna do? Go to the Browns? Ugh.
Maybe
he's got
the Browns.
Yeah, he's gonna have to fight Kirk Cousins for that.
I love the Browns. I love them. We play them like 3 times a year, and we just destroy them. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's like 3 bye weekends.
Oh, jeez. Well, look out for Josh Gordon this year. They're gonna lose, but he's still gonna put up like 30 fantasy points in the loss.
Speaking of rules, we skipped we beat to death the step putting. What about these rules on playing 21? I see you caught yet more flack for your
Can't
game
win for losing, man.
Yeah, your game of 21 there on the Facebooks. What happened there?
Yeah, no, I was shooting around. I was videotaping my shot, working on some form, and this guy came up and asked if I wanted to play 21. I said sure, and like a respectful person that I am, I asked, well, what are the rules that you play? And he told me, and then we proceeded to play by his rules, taped it, posted it, and then now, I played the wrong rules.
You cheater! Son of a bitch!
What are the wrong rules to 21? Like,
we played 2s and 3s, free throws all day.
And
so you could just sit and you could just sit and take a free throw?
17 free throws in a row? I quit counting. I need
I've
a
never-
life.
Yeah, I made
you made like
the 3-pointer, and then I ran the points at the free throw line.
yeah. You made how
And
many?
I
Was
cheated.
You won. I'll say this. I've never played 21 by that, but it's probably been 20 years since I've played 21. And I've never heard those particular rules. That's a lame way to win. That's a lame way to win, but you won within the rules.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
you also made. I mean, I think here the real
I don't
point
even
is
know.
you made what 17, 18
yeah, you
free
made
throws.
yeah,
in a
you
row.
made a lot of free throws in a row, and that takes clearly a lot of skill.
Nope, it's the easiest thing you could possibly do.
Oh my God.
And I should have.
I
told
think
the
you were
guy,
foot faulting
no,
the whole time.
Not in here.
Ask Vince Carter or
playing
Shaq.
half-court free throws. Win by 23.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
unless you're breaking ankles with your
Believe me,
crossover.
I've played basketball my whole life. I've played by 1,000. We've all played by
Yeah.
1,000 different 21 rules. Like,
Yep.
I just
Yeah, no cherry
No more
picking. You have to bring it back
basketball
out
videos.
to the 3-point
more
line. You have
basketball
to.
videos.
Yeah. Trust me,
you
I
can't win, Yuli.
No
I just
more.
can't win, bro.
No more basketball videos.
I
I'm not
wouldn't-
going to post
yeah.
anything to social media at all.
I would have never won a basketball game if I couldn't cherry pick rebounds and just drop them right back in. I suck. So
Yeah.
the only thing I had was I could block like a madman, and I could cherry pick rebounds. That's it. That's all I got.
I think we should
That's
see this
good.
game between the two of you.
I'm good. No, God. Well, no.
Okay. It was just an
I get a couple fun blocks in, but that's about
Free
it.
throws all day.
Yeah, it's free throws all
Sure.
day.
Yeah. I'd maybe make 3 out of 21.
All right, Yuli. Well, we're going to cut you loose. We do, of course, appreciate it. We're going to talk a little bit about the Dynamic Disc Marksman League, and then we'll be wrapping things up soon. We appreciate having you, though. It's an extra special treat, I think. Our after show is usually a lot of random chatter about a whole lot of nothing, but you gave us a little insight and direction that the after show could use. So we appreciate you joining us here, pal.
I think I could take Yuli in the pool, though.
All right.
I think I'm faster than you in a pool.
Get hit. You get this guy in a Speedo, and you got a chance. That's what he's saying. We'll leave it at that. All right, Yuli. Have a good night.
All right. See you later, Yuli.
I don't think I wanted to go there.
You
but
did,
we
though.
did.
You went there. That's gross.
We did.
Nobody wants to see that.
All right.
Not
so,
my wife.
Of course.
Not
Thank
my family.
you, Paul Ulibari, for joining us.
Yeah.
Here in the after show. You want to talk a little real quick? We'll talk Marksman League.
Marksman League. Let's
Do you
talk
happen to
about
have
the
that
UDisc.
ready to
I
go?
do happen to have the UDisc Marksman League. So this, as we talk about every week, is the Dynamic Disc Winter Marksman League, powered by UDisc. Those crazy guys that Josh and Matt from UDisc, not from Kids or Kids First or
Kids First Disc Golf. Kids
any
First,
of them. This is
Kids
definitely
Disc
powered
Golf.
by UDisc. So what we have is there's 124 leagues registered. If you have a league nearby you, go find it, please. This week we are up to 387,435 putts, 173,818 made, 6 if it was Yuli, and about 45% accuracy. So the top region right now is Kansas. They take
What?
back. I think last week we had Michigan as the top, or was it Iowa? I think it might have been Iowa last week. But anyway, Iowa's dropped to 4th. So the number one region right now is Kansas, with out of Newton, Swede, and Troy leading. And 3rd place out of Emporia, Jeremy Rusko.
What?
With 161 points.
Jeremy Rusko.
He's not just a pretty face.
Or just out there winning like Business of the Year over in Emporia.
Something like that.
Oh, jeepers. And the guy can putt? What?
Yep, out of Newton, Paul Harpool, and then out of Emporia, Dixon Jowers. They're at 799 points. Michigan is in 2nd place with 786 points. Oregon, 3rd place with 746 points. And then Iowa in 4th place with 740 points. We're going to scroll down to the global leaderboard over the last 7 days. Tim Wood out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, at a dominating 179 points, followed up by 2nd place, Sheldon DeMarco at 177. We got 3rd place, we mentioned him earlier, which was Swede at 174, and Tyler Lemke, 171 out of Daleville, Virginia. We're going to scroll down a little bit further here. You can find all these results at udisc.com/marksman. We're going to talk accuracy real quick. This is stations 4 and 5. These are only the Marksman baskets. The Marksman baskets number...
the skinny ones? This is skinny.
It's me compared to you.
I don't know about that.
I can tell people that because they think that. Anyway, so the Marksman accuracy, so stations 4 and 5. The first 3 are your normal size baskets. Your 4th and 5th are the Marksman skinnier baskets. We have 80% accuracy at Scott Withers out at Jefferson, Oregon, which I didn't see him up near the top there. He needs to get better on the bigger baskets apparently, but he's dominating the skinny ones. Second place, we have a 4-way tie for second place between Zach Melton out of Kingsport, Tennessee. You might have heard of him. Tim Wood, Hugo Teskila out of Norway, and Tyler Lemke out of Virginia. So that is your Marksman accuracy. And we are going to go down to the global standings. This is your overall standings through 6 weeks. Number 1, Eric McCabe.
Oh, McCabe.
Still riding that
2010 world
victory.
title.
Just riding that victory into the Marksman League. That guy.
Or he's going to debut in the Masters Worlds later this year.
My Lord.
Gosh, just still riding that world title.
Second place out of Norway, catching up a little bit because I think Eric had a bigger lead last time. We have 663 points, so he's down by 21 points. That's Liev Aspen out of Norway, followed up by Swede, 661 points. And my favorite, 4th place out of Wisconsin Rapids, Jump Butt Jesus, 637 points. So congratulations, guys. Again, I'll say it. If you have a Marksman league nearby, please go out and check it out. They're a ton of fun. I really wish we had one here in Milwaukee. And if I'm damned if I don't try to get one going next year. If it's still being offered.
Obviously, live podcast needs to happen from one the entire time.
It would be fun.
I'll set up right in the chains so we can just talk golf while chains get hit and I get hit in the face with a disc. It'll be great.
Probably. More than likely.
All right. I'm working with Matt or Josh or one of the two. It's Matt. I can read. Matt from over at UDisc is going to assist tonight possibly on the question that will be asked for the
UDisc giveaway, or the UDisc
giveaway,
Marksman
the dynamic disc giveaway that we'll be hosting. So get your keyboards warmed up, get them plugged into that USB port or that serial port. Is that what they use serial ports?
Yes, serial ports.
So plug your keyboard into that serial port and get ready on the YouTube live chat page. We see a lot of our regulars out there. Dad's Drunk is out there. Cool One, along with, I think we lost Phoenix Ruger Redbird, but we also saw Chris Cobb and a number of others. Give us an ASL, folks. Age, sexual location. Where are you guys chatting and listening from? I haven't done that in a long time.
Thankfully.
No, but seriously. Country Disc Golf's out there, too. Yeah, PS2 port. Yeah, seriously. Give us a little chat. I did that a year or two ago.
I know. Yeah.
Where are you listening from? Let us know what you got.
Open up your AOL Instant Messenger, ASL one, ASL us. Let us know
your buddy icon. Turn your buddy icon.
That's right. Take off your away message. Yes. I want to make sure that you have get me in your profile.
Look at Gig Harbor Gondola. I don't think has ever commented ever, at least that I recall. And now I see Gig Harbor, Washington. Great to have you. Live Oak, Florida. Fulton, Missouri. 30 male from Orlando. His dad's drunk.
What is Matt from UDisc, my favorite guy, my favorite Matt at this exact minute, I have to say.
I'm giving him a moment. He's doing some fact checking for you. So again, Idaho, South Carolina,
Clearwater,
Virginia, Michigan, Seth Fenley coming probably out of Florida, Joe out of Clearwater, Florida. I live in New Hampshire and Illinois. I'm in New Hampshire right now. Wow.
Rolling big with 2 homes.
Big time. Must be nice. In Maine, Oregon, Greenville, Seattle. Yeah, I love it. Holy cow. Seriously, this is one of the most vibrant responses we've ever got. I like it.
I'm glad.
I like it. New Albany, Mississippi, Janesville. Luke, good to see you, buddy. One of our regulars, Luke Hainwell, out there. Portland, and wow. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. All right, so here is the question coming up. Wait. Whoa, good. I gave him a moment to check it for himself. Okay. Here is the question. And I really, I love it. I absolutely love this. This is great. How many, and again, answer, YouTube, live chat, what Johnny and I see is the official set of answers. So what we see is what we go by. How many states currently host or are registered as a Marksman Challenge League? How many states have registered to have a Marksman Challenge League? And I'm going to go as official as Matt over at UDisc has related to me. So
got a couple answers.
So some answers coming in
48,
include
45 from Kurt. Dad's drunk. We're seeing 45, 50, 32, 44, 24, 8, 50, 44, 40, 21, 37, 16. I feel like 41. Dad's drunk. Nailed it.
Dad's drunk nails it
with 41.
That looks like we're going to confirm as we
I'm going
scroll
to
up.
scroll up a little bit. Make sure. Yep, 41. Dad's drunk. Congratulations.
I see Thunder Schultz out there on the board as well.
Yep.
Thunder?
There are 41 states that have a registered Marksman League, Winter Marksman League.
Awesome. So talk about spreading the love. I think that certainly indicates they've done just that. It's awesome to see it in so many different places around the country. 41 states, in fact, and of course, as we alluded to earlier, there's a few outside of the U.S., and me no good at geography, so I didn't want to dare go with some other international question. Maybe I'll save that for another week, or not. But 41. So Dad's drunk. Please message us, SmashBoxxTV/winners, and fill out the little form there. I will then relay that over to Bobby Brown, Cool Daddy Slick Breeze. They run some silly little show thing, and ultimately that will be the responsibility of Dynamic Disc, and they'll send out a little action your way. So appreciate it, Matt. Thank you, Matt over at UDisc, for the assist there. Oh, I should just have somebody else do the work every week.
That's a great idea.
Huh. I'm on to something here, folks. All right. And okay, he spoiled it already. UDisc says there are 2 outside of the U.S. 2 outside of the U.S. I'm going to go ahead and go ahead. You got something? I was going to do a follow-up.
Go ahead,
to something pretty random. Here's a follow-up that's incredibly random. We talked extensively, self-promoted the Maricopa Meadows footage, but coming up next on deck, and in fact even loaded some of what into YouTube, the 2017 Hall of Fame Classic bonus footage. And I want to thank Matt over at Country Disc Golf. He had filmed 2 rounds, one of which Johnny and I did commentary over. That one's essentially done and ready to go.
We did.
I had filmed 3 other rounds. Besides us filming the women, I had filmed also 3 other rounds, of which a couple of those are edited but not fully commentated on. So I'm going to go ahead and put a bold statement out there and say that this week is when they finally all start to unfold and finally hit the internets, YouTube.
That's great.
Bonus footage. It's been great that I'm happy to say I've been busy with so many other projects that these didn't get completed. Matt's been patiently waiting. Matt did a ton of the work a long time ago, and to add commentary and a few final touches was all on my end. And with all the other stuff I've been doing and editing, it didn't get done until this week. So 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. I was doing some editing and some updates and scores cards for them all last night, and excited to start rolling those all out. And when they do, I want it, part of my strategy has been, I didn't want to just get one out and then not know when the next one is. I really want to have them kind of all in the can so they can all unfold naturally. And that's been part of this challenge, because I didn't want to put a couple out like 2 weeks ago and then be like, oh, well, okay, where's the other 4 rounds? And then have it wait or whatever. So you're going to see them all naturally unfold. So appreciate that.
Awesome.
Those are coming.
All right, we're going to do our Patreon giveaway because we haven't done that yet.
What?
Yeah, we really haven't.
Cool one says, Terry and Johnny V, can you consider an after-show interview with Byron Allen? Who is this guy that wins your giveaways every other week? There's an update to Byron. Is it Byron? I think it was Byron that said this. Byron said, A, he feels bad that he keeps winning. I bet. But B, he said he's actually upped his Patreon support.
He did.
So for what that's worth, that's awesome. We appreciate it, Byron.
I think he was a $2 supporter. He bumped himself up to a $3 supporter.
Well,
or was it $3 to $4? I know. Either way, he bumped himself up.
I say we just send him lottery tickets from now on, from here on out.
I'm going to send him scratch-offs and have him scratch them up.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
But, so thank you, Byron. We appreciate that.
All right. So we have 163. Ooh, let's do this. I don't think I'm not showing anything I shouldn't be. All right. 163 users. You can see them right here. So I went into random.org. We've got a one between 1 and 163. I'm going to generate a number. Number is 54.
Byron Allen.
Nope.
That sounds like Byron.
Nathaniel Dutow,
who I think has won.
He won last year at some point.
Yes, the name. I recognize the name. I think he might be on the board tonight.
He might be. I saw him earlier, I think, on the board. So
okay.
Congratulations, Nate or Nathaniel, whatever you want to go by. You are the winner tonight. You will be getting. Do you have something?
Yeah, I have some stuff.
Okay. Otherwise, I have I have a disc member package that they sent me. They always send us a spare one that we can do. As they say, we can do whatever we want with it.
I want to dig into it and keep it.
Well, why don't you send him something? And poor guy won't get the big package. He'll get a couple discs or a disc and a couple stickers or something.
All right. Nate says you won at Christmas. Well, at Christmas, everybody was a winner. We did like 10 giveaways.
Yeah, that's true.
I hope you got your stuff.
Everyone's a winner at Christmas.
So reach out to me again, please, if you would. Or Johnny will send. Actually, Johnny will send you an email. And when you reply, just reply to all and make sure I have all your correct information. Cool one, I know. Same 6 guys win every week. Not quite, but we have had a number of repeats. Luke says, might be an interview with Nico soon. He just won a tourney and seems to do something different every year. Nico is for sure in the queue somewhere. I totally agree. It's a no-brainer that we have him. He could talk about his international travels. You're right. He's always got something up his sleeve or in the works, and I'm excited to see what he's got in store for 2018. So, him winning over in Thailand is a good catalyst, or is a good, not that we need a good excuse, but it's a good excuse to have him as well. So I'm good with that. All right. Country Disc Golf says, I'm going to get a Gateway Prophecy soon. Love the proto one that I got. Need the premium plastic, though. I heard the premium one plastics work better if you hit trees. But I don't hit trees, so I don't get the premium plastic ones.
Wow. Real quick update on, real quick update on SkipAce.com. I talked to my web developer tonight. He showed me a couple things that I told him Friday. Friday is the date that I want it to go live, where we can at least pick the first 2 events. We still need to work with the PDGA about integrating with them a little bit, so that might be a little bit before we can do some custom leagues. But ultimately, we will have it set up so everyone will be able to pick at least Vegas and the Memorial, and maybe create custom leagues. So I'm looking forward to that. We will get that up and going. I'm really excited because there's some kind of cool little things that people will notice and some people won't notice. Lots of behind the scenes stuff, and we are getting very close. We're gonna have another meeting. I've been having almost nightly meetings with him. As I said, it's really fun explaining to somebody. He's a programmer who doesn't really know much about sports in general. Just explaining disc golf, but then also explaining, like, kind of, I don't want to call it gambling, but explaining fantasy sports to somebody. It's like, no, this is a Survivor League. This is this and this is that. So I'm really excited to hopefully be able to roll this out finally for most people on Friday, or everybody on Friday. Maybe a few people early to have some testers. But yeah, so that's the goal. Friday.
All right, we're getting close. Big Putt Bill Sherman. Good to see you, buddy. How you doing? Luis Garcia says, you should add a column and assign the numbers 1 through 5 or another number all the way down, then custom sort by number, then either first or last name. If you're talking about the giveaways.
Ultimately, it's a random number generator, so no matter how I sort them in my spreadsheet, the random number is going to come up. And remember, we have 163 people in the thing. We pick a number, Terry. Any number.
74.
74. That is Joshua Moore. Joshua Moore won last year at some point.
He did.
And that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
we only have 163 only. If you want to be eligible, obviously sign up. If you want to make it so less frequent people win, but ultimately,
I have the ultimate cheat.
You have the ultimate cheat.
The ultimate cheat is, here's what you do. You go out to Patreon and you sign up every person in your house separately as a separate Patreon supporter. And then your odds of winning for your house increase.
So much more.
Isn't that brilliant?
That's brilliant, Terry.
That's free advice from me tonight.
That is brilliant.
All right. When does Skip A start? I think that was just talked about.
Yeah, Skip A's. It starts for the Vegas. Vegas is the first event. Like I said, talking to my web guy tonight at about 8 o'clock at a meeting. I said, listen, I know everything you're doing is awesome. It's all these little things like, oh, guess what? I can add myself. I can remove myself from a league I'm involved in now. Like all these awesome little tweaks. And I said, these are all great, but I need people to be able to actually lock in and make picks, and I'd like it by Friday. And he says, yeah, we can do that. All the little extras might not be there for another week or two, but ultimately you will be able to log in. Hopefully you will be able to create a league and set something up. So we're getting so much closer.
Right. Cool One says, disc golf question. If I step putt like Yuli in 2018, there's no warning, right? If I'm called on it, I'm stroked immediately, right? I have to review the rules before I could. Is there seconding or not?
No, I don't know about seconding, but foot faults are definitely just a rethrow. Oh, no. Is it from where you?
I know I talked about this, and I don't even want to utter the incorrect version. So I'd have to look that one up and get back to you. Disc Golf Nerd says, Terry, I had a conversation with Grady Clifford tonight, and he spoke highly of you. I don't know why he would do that.
I don't know anyone that does that.
Yeah, but no, seriously, it's great to hear from Grady out and working on probably some next-gen stuff. And Grady is an amazing individual. And I was honored to be hanging out with him last week at the Next Gen finale.
Yes, you are stroked right away on the foot fault. That's what it was. But you do take the shot. So if you were to throw, I remember the argument was if you threw out of bounds on a foot faulted, you will get double penalized.
Yeah, which, okay. What else do we have on here? Do you know about the United States Amateur Disc Golf Championships? USADGC? I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Luke. If you're talking about the USADGC, that takes place in... Yeah, that takes place in Milford, Michigan, right? Over at the toboggan course? Is that the one you're talking about? Take the shot or reshot. Anything that incurs a stroke has to be seconded. Thoughts on Falcon Heavy? I think we talked about that
earlier.
About the
Falcon Heavy earlier.
That Johnny thought it was really neato.
It is awesome. I mean,
I'll go along with that. Any rough future of what though?
It's the future of space travel. This means that we now have the ability to load up to like 140,000 pounds worth of stuff and put it into orbit.
Like garbage?
Yes.
We start shipping our garbage out.
I almost made a really bad comment. I almost threw someone's name out there. Not political, don't worry. It was a golfer, actually. But yes, I mean, imagine being able to load up supplies for a mission to Mars, or the moon is now back kind of in play for us if we really wanted to. It is ultimately the future. And they're talking about if this type of transit is really, I won't say affordable, but safe, where you guess what, like they're able to land rockets 99.9% of the time. Imagine being able to travel from here over to Europe in a half hour. Literally just up and down. It's crazy to think about. I
wonder if that's like on SmashBox like level budgets.
Yeah, it might be. I don't see that type of thing happening anytime soon, but being able to transport goods and services across the world quickly, being able to get things in orbit, huge things in orbit these days. It really is. It's going to, if they can keep this up, it's going to change the future of travel and space. And it might be in 20 years. It's not going to be tomorrow, but ultimately I think it's going to be awesome. And I'm a big space nerd.
Luke
I went to space
referenced
camp as a
earlier
kid.
the dynamic disc match play. Unfortunately, I don't know too many details about what's going on here in Wisconsin. I think I saw Mike had made a post about possibly hosting something. I really would love to put that on my plate because I think it'd be exciting, but the reality is I shouldn't, and I really can't put it on my plate and do anything with it probably on my end. Gig Harbor Gondola asks, I have 3 minutes to talk to our Parks Department about installing a disc golf course this Monday. Any advice? And my advice would be, think about it from their perspective as to how adding disc golf could be an asset to their community. I would definitely touch on the fact of whether this park is either a shared use park and how it can, hopefully, if it's true, fit into the shared uses of the park and how it can coincide with other user groups, or if it's even better, an underutilized park where disc golfers could potentially come in, have some ownership, so to speak, of the course, and or take a little bit of be stewards of the course and of the property, and then hopefully chase out any maybe unwanted behavior or that may be taking place there. A lot of times parks that are underutilized have a lot of other things that shouldn't be going on there, so when disc golfers come in, there's a good chance that you could chase some of that activity out. I would also talk, of course, about the growth of the sport, as mentioned there, just all the different assets or all the people that could use it as an asset, whether that's the community, generally speaking, or whether that's the Parks Department could be utilizing it in terms of their programming. Also, it could be talked about from the economic impact standpoint. If you were to host a medium or large-scale event at some point, that's going to have an economic impact on the community. And possibly any school integration. Is it near a school? Could they walk there? Could they take a field trip to this park? Could they integrate it into a Phi-Ed program? Could someone like a Zoe or an Edge or something of that nature also be tied to it? There are so many different ways you could take it. I think you really need to look at the property and say, okay, this is a heavily trafficked park, so these are some of my talking points. Or this is a very underutilized park that hasn't been touched and has nothing going on there, and here's all the ways we can come in and be positive in a slightly different way. So I think there's a lot of different angles and approaches that you could take to it. Of course, growth of the sport. Maybe talk about some neighboring communities. Do you have anyone else nearby that has had good experiences? If there's a community or a parks department that's 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 minutes away, do you have any allies there that you could maybe get a quick quote from or a testimonial from where Joe Park Ranger over in such and such city says, yeah, we added disc golf in 2007. We've seen nothing but a huge surplus of park use or a huge increase in park use. And with that park use, we've been able to have a club take place. We now have 4 service work days out there a year. The Boy Scouts uses it as a project every year to build stuff. And we have an annual tournament that generates $1.6 million in economic impact. Those are all different things. It's, trying to keep it short and on point probably is tough, but for me anyway, those are all different things that you could be talking about when you're giving a 5-minute pitch about disc golf. Do you have kids yourself? Talk about your kids being able to play, recreational activities that are could be individual, or it could be used in terms of of the programming. Like I said, for the community, there's so many different angles that you could go with it.
Wow.
I hope some of those help.
That was a lot of info.
It was, and
hopefully just take this portion of the podcast. Just take that portion of the podcast and send it to all your parks people in the city.
Yeah, there you go. And say the disc golf guy says you should have disc golf here. And then if you'd like, you can hire, and I could come out and do the design work for you. Is that a fair pitch? Okay. All right, so those are all things. Chris Rodriguez, a Guapo Baskets out on there, says, talk to a local basket builder on the east side. Wow. I don't know. There might be a plug there. And I know Chris is running a big women's event that everybody should be out supporting all the big women's events we have coming up. Max says, you've sold me on this disc golf thing. Good, Max. Because if you came in randomly from some other non-disc golf...
I was watching League of Legends, and I just stumbled upon your site, your page. But This sounds great.
Exactly. So hopefully those are a few of the ideas. Someone reached out to me today or yesterday and had said, I'm looking to pick up a camera to do some filming.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do some filming of some local events and others.
Jimmy Thomas was trolling me on this.
Well, no, this is different.
I know.
And I had said, what's your budget? He said about $400. And so I would generically share the advice that I shared with him, which is at that price point, I'm a big fan personally of anything in the, I'd look to either the name brands of Sony or Canon personally. You're not going to get something with XLR inputs for external microphone, but all of them should have a 1/8 inch microphone jack. Just make sure you get an external microphone of sorts. If it's a $60 or an $80 or $100 one, just get some form of external microphone that's got a little bit of a windscreen on it. Those would be my quick tips of advice for you guys, for anyone in that $400-ish price point. Don't worry about 4K too. Get a 1080. At that price point, there's probably 24 1080 with 30 or 60 frames that are going to look really crisp and really clear. And by the time you want to go to 4K, you're going to be ready to upgrade your camera.
Rolling in the disc golf rich money.
Yeah, you'll be making those single dollar bills to upgrade to your next camera. So that would be my advice.
All right.
You said Jamie Thomas. What was he trolling you on?
Oh, someone had put it on on the disc golf course review board. Someone's like, "Hey, I got some credit at Crutchfield. I'm thinking about buying a camera.
Some subwoofers.
Yeah, I'm thinking about buying a camera to film some local disc golf stuff. Would a GoPro be a good idea?" And I said no. And I went out. I was the first one to respond. I said, "Oh, hey, no, GoPro's probably not a great idea. You're gonna want to stick with something with some really good autofocus, and depending on what you have, anything with 1080p will get you started." And that was all I put. And Jamie Thomas, he was trolling me out on the board, basically saying, this guy has more podcasts than edited footage. And then he said he was kidding, and he agreed with everything that I said, but ultimately he was just giving me a hard time. So
yeah, I think we all knew you were smarter than Jamie Thomas, right? Isn't that what we're saying?
I've said that for years. I mean, it depends really what you're talking about.
Oh, I just thought generically.
About everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I mean, there's not a single subject on this planet Earth that he would probably know more about.
To heck with his stupid...
Oh, he's some silly degree about...
Film degrees.
Film degree? Yeah. I mean,
who's got time for that?
Guess what? I saw movies.
Yeah, can't be that hard.
I've got Netflix. I'm as smart as him. Guess what I paid for my college degree? $10 a month. Guess what he paid? Probably tens of thousands of dollars. So who's the smarter one now?
Yeah, stuff. Yeah, I was trying to think if there were any other topics, and I feel like we've hit most of the hot topics. Luke Butch, I guess I will bring this full circle real quickly. Luke Butch earlier, in talking to him about the Thailand event, said that in fact that Barsby was still on the island, and he said that Paige would be a good one to talk to. Because of her Thailand experience. So, and it's no surprise, I'm sure at some point we'll have Paige
catch up with her.
One cool thing that he did point out to me was that, he talked about, he said, including playing day 2 on a private, uninhibited island, uninhibited. Wow. Really had to spit that one out. Island where all 108 players plus friends and family reach the island by small long-tail boats. 8 to 10 people per boat. So that's pretty cool. Had to be an awesome experience. And he said also only A tier ever to only use a 9-hole course. And maybe there's a historian or two out there, but way back in the day, this was before I followed too much international action. I wonder if like a Japan Open, when it was in Tokyo, I feel like that was just on 9 holes, and maybe somebody out there knows more. You all know more. Can somebody confirm like an old school Japan Open when it was, I don't know if it was downtown Tokyo or where it was, but when it was not at the Nassau Highlands where we had been in 2008 and 2010, for instance, was that only 9 holes?
I don't know.
Temporary?
I don't know, but you can reach out to us. You can find Terry on Facebook.
Yeah, let me know.
Let him know.
It's a good question.
Yep.
Yeah. How's your Bitcoin doing? Is that what the conversation is out there?
That's what Cool One asked how my quarter of a Bitcoin was going, and I was saying, well, funny or not so funny story, I guess. So I sold. So Bitcoin's been crashing, as everyone knows. It was a high of like
crashing like the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah. It was at like a high of 17,000 like a month ago, and then it kind of started to plummet. And on its way down, finally, I held off. Like a week ago or so.
Don't tell me you sold it.
I sold half of it.
Why would you do that?
And then it kept going down. And I thought, if it goes down a little more, at that point, then I'll rebuy and bring it back in. But then it kind of bounced back. And right now, it's about where I sold it for because it came down and bounced back up. So it's basically, if I put that, I pulled out about $1,000. If I put $1,000 back in, it would be almost exactly what I sold for. So I could just break even on it. I still have, I think, 0.14 of a Bitcoin now. I think that's what it is. And that's only the Bitcoin. I have I have 0.1439 of a Bitcoin right now. So, and I've got some in like whatever their cash wallet is. So I'm ready at any time I can bounce back in and buy. But we'll see.
So how much is a Bitcoin worth right now?
About $7,600.
And it got up to 19 or 20-ish?
Truthfully, it was at mid to high 17s. I think it touched 19 for a split second, but that was whatever. And then it was down to in the 5,000s. I sold it, like I said, around 7,500. And I thought, okay, well, if it gets down to about 5,000, I'll buy. In the middle of a day, when I wasn't really paying attention, it got down to 5,500, I think, and then came back up to about 65 to 7,000. And I thought, well, I could put my 1,000 in and I'd get a little bit out, but I'll wait because it's probably going to drop again. And it's basically hovered there or gone up just a little bit over the past couple days. So I'm just kind of sitting tight. I've got no reason to rush anything. I still have some Bitcoin. I'm okay.
I heard the computer's all broke and it's almost done.
They all broke.
Dad's Drunk says, I bought some when they first started talking about it on Rogan around 2013. Sold way too fast and made nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, stocks are cheap right now. Go buy. I was
thinking about picking up like a few hundred of like the Facebooks or the Google stocks. Is that a good idea?
Yes, I think Facebook's at like 180.
Okay.
And then Google, I think, is around $1,000 a share.
Okay, so maybe I'll get like only 100 then. Maybe I won't.
But yeah, I mean, if you're a stock player, right now's the time to buy. Things are on discount.
Yeah.
And it suddenly became a financial podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll move on from that. Buy Apple now. Yeah, buy lots of stuff.
Yeah,
right now.
my boss just literally told me today he bought Apple because it was at like 160 or 170 or something, and down from its high of 190. I own a little bit of Apple.
I would like to thank, I believe was it Ronald Harkey? I think it was you, Ronald Harkey, who had submitted, along with maybe Matthew Swanson, who had submitted our timestamps. A few weeks ago, there was a little call out for people to keep track of our timestamps for like major segments of the show, when Yuli joins us, when Matt and Josh joined us tonight, so on, when the after show starts. I appreciate that. I think a couple of you have done it, and if you don't mind continuing to do it, who's ever doing it, we appreciate it. I'll try and put those right back into the notes of the show in the after fact, so that there's always a, because inevitably somebody says, oh, when did Lisa come on? And it's great if we just have that little timestamp that we can put in the show notes under the description of it. And so if somebody wanted to go find it
if you get those for me, send those to me. Because
I put them on the thing.
Yeah, well, because I can put them in the podcast and people can skip right.
Can they do that too?
Yeah.
Oh,
as long as I have the time code, yeah.
They can click on it and it'll go right to it, just like it does on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty neat. All right. Yeah. Chris Rodriguez says he's investing in Johnny V's Pizzeria. I don't know if that's a good idea.
That is a great idea. I make a heck of a pizza. Sometimes it's a Jack's. Sometimes it's an Orv's.
Not Tombstone, though.
Not so much Tombstone.
DiGiorno?
No. Every once in a while. Every once in a while, we'll get a Baboli's, just the bread, just the crust, and then we'll make our own, which is good. But
a couple questions. We're going to wrap this up pretty soon, but a couple questions coming in from the board that say, hashtag big hug for cheap labor. Very much appreciated. Yeah, Chris Cobb, among so many of those helpers out in Arizona, if that's what you're talking about. But either way, we appreciate it. I would like to say a big hug. Chris Dietzel out there, I know, had his dog Frizz or Frisbee that he said he had for almost 17 years, I think, is no longer with us. So a big hug for Chris. I read the story about how the dog ultimately picked him, as he said, as the owner, and found him on the course when he was visiting a course back in 2001, I think he said. I read the whole story. I read it actually twice, and we love you, buddy, and sorry for your loss, but it sounds like you had a lot of amazing years, and a lot of people have a lot of great stories about your dog. So big hug to you, buddy. Also out there that we saw, I'm going to try and catch up real quickly before we call it. I don't recall what Macbeth's new pro shop is called.
He hasn't said anything yet.
He wasn't giving us the name. Instead of super chat, I'm sending over a large pie from Johnny V's Pizzeria for the show. Actually, right behind your house is some phenomenal pizza.
Ned's.
I'm a huge fan of it's a little joint right behind, about a half a block from Johnny's house. It's amazing pizza. I've been there.
Nice thin crust, usually.
Yeah,
we'll get it once every 3 months, maybe. We'll just order in from Ned's.
Super good pizza. Marcus asked, Marcus, I got those discs, by the way. But to follow that up, what are your thoughts on one-day B tier? We have them in Wisconsin all the time, so short answer is I'm good with them.
B tiers should be one day.
I'm good with them. And it's so regional. There's plenty of B tiers all around the country that are 2 days, 3 or 4 rounds. In Wisconsin,
I'm not saying they can't be 2 days. I'm just saying I prefer a one-day B tier.
In Wisconsin, you're a special B tier.
If you're more than 1 day.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tired of Crap. Appreciate the super chat.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the super chat.
I've had 2 people now reach out to me and ask if you are going to send out the rest of the Patreon disc from 2017.
Yeah, I think I need to do that yet.
Yeah, I sent you, again, I updated you and said, hey, here's the list.
Yeah, I haven't been good at emails.
I know.
For 6 months. Or the last few days.
How is your new email migration? We migrated your email over to Gmail.
I honestly, and
I know you're
a quick story is
you're getting used to it.
I have transitioned from using a regular, off-brand server system for my Pro Disc Golfer account that I've had since 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And recently I've transitioned everything over to being on Google servers using G Suite, and I find myself logging into my email a fraction of what I used to, because I'm used to opening up a separate client. I use Thunderbird to open up to check my emails. It's sitting there on my desktop. I always want to click on it, even though it won't pull anything in. I'm just finding myself not as responsive. So I apologize. There's a number of things that I really desperately need to respond to. I'm trying to get caught up. But there is a number of things that I'm just not as responsive, and I don't know why. There's something so much less appealing about
typing it up in a webmail versus.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I
get that your workflow has changed, but theoretically it makes no sense.
Correct. It's just the workflow. The workflow feels different. Therefore, typing up my responses via a Gmail web browser just, I don't know, feels weird. And I would say in a normal week, if I sent, let's just make up a number and say if I send in a normal week 25 emails, I've sent like 3 in the last week. It just feels so much less appealing, which isn't good because I have a number of things I need to reply to. So,
yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Instead of a super chat, okay, what are your thoughts? We did that. The Calzone Zone. I like that. Don't tease me. Stocks were higher 2 times up. Okay. Beauty and the McBeast. I did see one of the posts. One of the posts from Macbeth and Hannah this weekend regarding their wedding. This will be my last talk about it, but was them dancing to Beauty and the Beast.
That's clever. Beauty and the McBeast. I get it.
It was. I can't decide. I'm pretty damn cheesy, as many of you know.
I'm good with that. No,
I don't know if I liked it or not.
I'm good with that.
I mean, I'll give them a pass.
I'll give them that. I'm good with that.
I did see that as one of them. Disc Golf Nerd says, I wish there were more one-day events around there. Yeah, Wisconsin's very much adopted that philosophy many, many years ago. And we have a few 2-day events, but most of them are one day. Yes, Will, you can hold off on looking for that mail for at least another week. Tomorrow I do really want to buckle down. There's some giveaways I have to do. There's some Patreons. And there's some other drawings I'm going to be doing. So tomorrow and Thursday, I really want to make postal service days. Lucy is running a one-day B tier in May 5th. That's awesome. The Mesmerizer. Thanks for hosting Kids Disc Golf earlier. Not enough juniors. Yep. Glad to do so. Use voice recognition dictation, Terry, and emails become a breeze. I don't know if it's so much the challenge of typing. It's just all of it feels weird.
Because you're not using your old Thunderbird application.
Dad's drunk. Dad's drunk. You always. I'm going to give you a hard time. You always show up late, which is fine. I understand you have things going on.
He's got a life.
He does, and we love it, and we love that you're here. But it's just always funny because then when you then interject into and come to the table, almost all of your topics are past, I think is the way to put that. Like, it's funny.
Terry did talk about a little Tom versus Time earlier tonight. I have not watched it, but Terry has watched, and he said he found it relatively interesting.
I love it. I do. I really liked it, and I'm sure plenty of people that hate Tom Brady as a person will never give it the time, and that's fine.
I won't. And it's not because I hate Tom Brady. It doesn't sound like that's going to be that interesting to me.
Yeah, it has interested me. And I would never say I was necessarily a Tom Brady fan before. I feel like I am more of one now because I appreciate his work ethic.
Oh God, yeah, he is. So in order to maintain
I can appreciate it for that.
His abilities at his age, he has to put in so much effort, and I can't even imagine what he's doing.
You should watch it. It's really good.
I'm not going to.
Disc Golf Nerd says, I played my first real event Sunday. 3-person team event. Super fun. We tied for third in AM. Open team that would have won wrote the score down incorrectly and lost because of it. Ouch. That is a mistake you hopefully only make once in your life, a scorecard error of that nature. So hopefully they'll never do that again. And you've got a leg up on us. We don't have a lot of these like 3- and 4-person or 6-person team events that are a little more casual. We don't have a lot of that in Wisconsin. I'm envious of the places that do. So that's awesome. And Dad's drunk. Yes, I always do give you a hard time. And mainly that's why. What is your solution for me being behind? Watch every second? How could I possibly know that it was covered earlier if I wasn't here? There's your answer. You be here for every second, and then your topics, when you bring them to the table, won't be 2 or 3 hours old. I don't think that's too much to ask. Got lots of smashies out there that do that. We love them. That's all. All right, we're gonna call it. Holy cow, it's 12:18.
Yeah, it's time to call it.
Okay, call it. Me and Johnny V would like to thank Paul Ulibarri for joining us in the after show. We'd like to thank Dynamic Disc and the Marksman League, along with Matt and Josh and UDisc. Make sure you go out there and check it all out as your Winter Marksman League is taking place all around the country, including 41 states and 2 other countries besides ours. So thank you for all the stats and the information from those guys. Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, large and small, wide, little, big, grand, whatever, all across the board. No matter what the contribution is, we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for all of our live chatters as you guys are out here and help keep us entertained as well as we move through our nights. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that's been podcast 181 after show. We'll see you next week when you step inside the Smashbox.